Listen up, Dungeon Masters. Your players are falling asleep at the table. What? Your wizard is going to use catapult to throw rocks at a monster again? How about instead of that, the wizard covers their body in rocks and hurls themselves? Now you're thinking like a badass using Battlezoo Bestiary, Elemental Storm. Filled with over 150 innovative elemental monsters, new elemental spells, and the monster parts system, allowing you to craft weapons, armor, and magic items from the creatures you slay, infusing elemental magic into them with 20 unique elements. Sure, there's classics like air, earth, fire, and water, but there's even weirder elements like music, space, and time. Doctor Who, Doctor You.
Wait, I'm a player, not a dungeon master. Why should I give a
Well, Yahtzee, how about a brand new character archetype, the Monster Hunter? Climb on creatures, target specific body parts, and weaken them. Or just grab a small monster and use their attacks against the big one.
Ooh, you sold me at big ones.
Best of all, this archetype can fit along any class. Fighter Monster Hunter? Duh. Monk Monster Hunter? Sure. Wizard Monster Hunter? Well, it'll set the difficulty up, but go right ahead. Elemental Storm is filled with over 250 pages packed with stunning illustrations, detailed rules on the monster parts system, and so much more for your Pathfinder 2e and D&D 5th edition games. Click on the link below or head on over to kickstarter.rollforcombat.com to secure your copy of Battlezoo Bestiary Elemental Storm today, and turn your table from slow and crunchy to fast and furious.
Hey, we're live. Look at that.
Hello.
I was late. I was running back from wherever I was. Anyhow, how is everyone? We have Mark, and we have a new guest. We have someone who's never been on the show, ever, which is nice, because I like when we get new people. And we have...
Ahoy, mateys.
We have Luke Stratton from Limithron. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, you got it, limithron.
That is the coolest name, I tell you.
Thank
I'm
you.
into names, and I was
Are
like...
you ready for it to be even cooler?
Yeah?
It's Tolkien's Sindarin for Light Wizard.
I was-
My other career is concert lighting design.
Oh
So
my
my
God.
first D&D character was Limithron.
Oh, that is really cool.
That's very cool. That's what I was going to ask. I was like, what does it mean? Because,
Yeah, it's literally two syllables from Sindarin that basically mean Light Wizard. Now, I don't know if Tolkien would agree, but I'm sticking with it. So two syllables from Sindarin that basically mean
Oops.
light.
light wizard. Oh, that's very cool. So I'm always curious where that comes from, like the names. Because, like, I mean, well, I won't get into ours because there's a whole story behind Battlezoo and Roll for Combat and all that. Basically,
Yeah.
it's but Limithron. I was like, I haven't heard that one before. First,
No, well, you know, and I've been around in the internet world long enough to know that you need something that's not too mispronounceable, but also easily Googleable.
oh, that's
when I start-
yeah.
When I started my Patreon, I was like, I'm going to Google this before. And there were like no results.
Yep.
Like maybe one result that was
Yeah.
like a typo, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. Roll for Combat, easy to say, easy to spell, easy.
Yeah.
You know, Battlezoo, unbelievably easy to say, remember,
Definitely
spell,
easy,
all
yeah.
that.
That's
right.
important, man. And like, you never know how many conversations you have, like at a party or like at a game store, where you say the name and people are like, what did he say it was? So you know, you got to go for as good a conversion if you can to remembering, you know.
In fact, Mark, you don't even know this, but we're going to be doing an ad for Year of Titans, which is our next Kickstarter that comes out in November, because we never stop
Up
here.
to this point, I did know what you've said, but what do I not know?
The ad we're going to be doing is about mispronouncing the names, and it's going to be Yahtzee and Jack Packard going back and forth saying, oh, it's you know, whatever they could, like, what was it, Enhajar. It is like E-Jar. It's like, no, it's Endajar or whatever. I don't even know how to pronounce some of those names because we have some
For the Einherjar?
there we go. The Enhar. How do you say it? The Enhar.
Einherjar.
Einherjar and
Einherjar.
Einherjar. The
So,
the Valhalla. That's all I need to know. The Valhalla.
It's a plural of the Norse warriors chosen by Valkyries to take to Valhalla.
Right.
With singular Einherji. Einherjar, an easy way to pronounce it, like ein, like one in German. Harry, like someone saying the name Harry, but with a not the accent that I have. So they just say like Harry or like you're a very hairy person. And then R, like the letter R.
Anyhow, that's what we're going to do with the add-on. Good thing it's called Year of Titans, because that's easy to spell and that's easy to remember.
I hope they can also pronounce living spell.
Living spell, they're not worrying. They're going to be doing like Satyr, even though Satyr is easy to pronounce, but like, because we have Satyr.
Can they pronounce red cap?
No, it's going to be Satyr, the Dual-Hajar, is that, or Dual-Hans?
Wait, how can you pronounce Dual-Han as
Dual-Han
as Dual-Hajar? Where did the Hajar come from?
I don't know, because I'm in a mood. I don't know.
Okay.
So, but anyhow, so Luke, I'm going to give you a little background. So you see my bookshelf behind me that everyone always comments on, because it's the.
I love my placement on this. It's like dead center. I know I'm the one on the air right now, but center top. I love it.
Well, not only that, here's the best part. People said to me, "Oh, do you have Pirate Borg?" Because I say I have like everything back here, and sure enough, I usually do. I can just pull it. I have anything that's kind of new. I don't have like if you say fourth edition, I don't have it. I have it, but not in my office. And I was like, "You mean this?" I was like, "I got it right here, buddy." I'm like, "I got everything," and on top of that, I got your Bestiary. Bad Milton stuff. Yeah. In fact, so we are doing a bestiary for Shadowdark.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
We're actually doing a whole bunch, and I got your bestiary for to copy. I mean, for inspiration. That's the word.
Let me be very clear. If you think that I have not done any copying and or learning from my colleagues, you have not paid attention. I'm very much inspired, obviously by the Mörk guys, but even more so by Sean McCoy and the Mothership team.
Oh God. Yeah, their stuff is insane.
Big inspiration for me. I mean, that's how you get better, and then eventually you like improve on the current style, and then you define your own style.
So we're gonna get really geeky here, Mark, unfortunately, because you do your layout and design too, right?
I do all the art and the layout and the writing. Yes.
Oh, Mark.
Actually, though, give a shout out. This bestiary though was converted by my quartermaster and brother Tyler.
Oh, okay.
With my editorial eye. But we just had too much going on. I mean, I've played a ton of 5th edition, so I had an opinion about it. And we really kind of used Andrew Kolb's Neverland as kind of a springboard. You'll notice in there that there are like some core stats, like core modifiers given instead of like a verbose list of modifiers. I really like that. I kind of want to bring those 5e people to be like, hey, you know what? You don't need every single number. You'd be surprised. I know you think you do, but you don't.
Right.
You know.
Well,
so the actual conversion is by Tyler, but I did a little.
Ours is the good news is Shadowdark does not have a layout like the Borg's. Hers is a very.
No, you can actually just make a template or a couple template pages and then design and then be pretty much well set, which is really nice, honestly.
Yeah, it's a very simple, and so we're doing a combo of we have our own design for Battlezoo and Roll for Combat and Shadowdark, and I kind of combined the two, and it looks really good.
I mean, the Shadowdark layout is award winning now.
I know. I was there. We were there. I was sitting at the table with Kelsey, which she won.
I'm very happy for Kelsey. I got snubbed with no nominations, so we threw a party instead.
Oh,
so I was not there. We had our giant. My birthday is always on the 4th, which is always at Gen Con. So we had like a huge
Her
party
birthday's
in
the 4th
lobby.
too. I think Kelsey's birthday's the 4th.
It is the 4th. Yes.
Oh wow, my birthday is very close to then too. So we've got like a Gen Con birthday crowd.
Yeah, this year was really fun. We were at the Marriott lobby, and like the cool thing about it is since it's in the lobby. Like we invite all our GMs, we invite like all the people who are working with us and people who I know. Like, of course, all the Free League people are invited because Pirate Borg is published by Free League. But like Luke Gygax showed up, and like Ed Greenwood just happened to be there, so it seems like Ed Greenwood's invited, even though he's not. It's like it's kind of one of those fun little weird Gen Con parties. So
But what I was going to say is that because I do all the layout and design for my books. I don't do the art. I'm not an artist, but man, I saw your art, and I was like, God. And, okay, we'll get into it, but I think I have issues with Borgs. I have issues with Borg. I have an issue with even Mothership. There's like, so my background is design. I've taught it. I have degrees in it. I've done a lot of design, a lot of layout. I've been doing it over 30 years. There is what I've taught, the difference between, there's form and function, and you can go too far in either direction. And I think some of the Borg goes way too far in design, and they're like, you lose the you lose the purpose. It's like it looks amazing, but it's so hard to use. But you have
that is a common complaint about Borg, but Pirate Borg.
Nope.
I've at least heard a lot of people saying that have been using it more often. So I kind of trust them because they use it. That it is able to get a lot of the cool form stuff from Borg, but still have that usability.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I think in Borg's defense, like they weren't trying to make a super usable game. They weren't trying to make
in their defense, we weren't trying to make the sense that you could use it.
I mean, like,
they're artists.
Yeah, they're not like, hey, we're gonna make a game that's gonna be like the next new wave of kind of gaming.
Right.
Like they just made the cool thing that they wanted to make, and people liked it. Which is, whereas Pirate Borg is very much like, oh, hey, I was working on a setting book, but now I'm gonna make that game and my setting into a new book. Like I wanted it to be I wanted people to play it. Like that's the primary purpose of the book,
right?
Is for people to play it.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to show you the picture that when I saw this, and I was like, this is why I bought it. And I was like, okay, this thing is so good. This is the page where you have the 2-page spread of the Megalodon versus the Kraken. And you literally have the picture of the undead Megalodon against the Kraken with the stats. I was like, that is such good design.
If you look at the 5e version, if you look at the actual book, it even looks better because we have, you can't put a 5e Kraken into a book without putting a bunch of abilities for it,
Oops. Huh.
But if you take a look at the core book, it even flows a bit better. Like I really.
Oh, you're right. You know what? Here, guess what? This is the page I had bookmarked.
There you go. Yeah. See, it flows a bit better.
Yeah, you're right.
So I do all my design and my art, like they're all like symbiotic. Some spreads I actually write first, and some I actually do the art first, or I'll mock up the art. So that's kind of the benefit of doing all three, is that the three can coexist, and like, oh, I need more words here, or oh, I need less words. Where when you have like a larger team, obviously things get done quicker, but I work pretty fast.
The next one too is good.
Exactly.
That one's good too. But
sometimes it's a struggle though. Sometimes you're like, man, I really need an extra page.
Yeah, no, the design.
I mean, Steven, I think that you're not wrong when the things that you said about Borg, but I agree with Luke that it's like it was an artistic vision that they were attempting to bring about, and they knew exactly what those shortkomings were, and that they made what they wanted to make.
I didn't know that. So I see to me,
and I would also say the thing about Borg is, and the reason that I made Pirate Borg as an inspiration from it, is that it's all about the vibe. It's all like I get more from the first 10 pages of Borg than I get from 100-page 2-column normal text RPG book, because I'm a visual learner, and I can run Borg almost immediately just by like absorbing it. Whereas those bigger books with like a few art orders from different artists and 2-column layout, that's really, you have to read it like a novel, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. It's just, we've done that for, 50 years now. Like, let's try other methods of getting the information in people's heads. So I think that's why Borg succeeds and has become so popular,
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Do people play it or do people just buy it?
People definitely play it. I would say that there's no question in my mind that the ratio of people who make stuff for it to the people who play it is the highest or lowest, depending on how you want to look at it, in the industry.
Got it.
I mean, if you go to xlibris.com, it's the Borg. Here, I'll go there right now. It's the Borg third-party tracking website where they like, if you make something.
What's that called? I want to look this up.
Xlibris. I'll give you the URL here.
Oh yeah, if you're on Discord, just hit me up.
Ex Libris Borg. It's
Ex Libris.
Mörk. The specific Mörk one is ex Libra Mörkborg dot exlibrisrpg.com,
Yeah,
or
I
you can just go
found
to exlibris.rp. Excuse me, I can't talk.
Whoa.
Exlibrisrpg.com.
Whoa.
But if you go to exlibrisrpg.com, you can see the tracker. Like, let me pull this page up real quick. Mörkborg is at 1,831 pieces of third-party content.
Where's this under? I see rules, classes, gear, monsters.
No, you're in the Mörkborg one here. Where can I send you this?
Are you on Discord?
I am on Discord.
Send it to me.
But I don't have your here. Can I send it to you in chat here?
Sure.
Sorry, stream. Nope, I can't do it there. Here, I'm gonna reply to that email thread that you invited me.
Even
on.
better.
So we have our third-party stuff is tracked on here. Ours is a little out of date because we ran a jam last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it actually should be like 137 entries higher than it is on this. Only at 42. But that's 1,800, Mörkborg classes or adventures or hacks or whatever. And I'm sure that is like there are more people making Mörkborg compared to how many people play it compared to, like, say, 5th edition. Like, obviously there's a lot of 5e content, but there's also a ton of players. And I think Mörkborg is a little bit more like a hobby in that you're like into the community and you're into like hacking it and making it your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's smaller, but a high percentage of people are very committed.
Yes, absolutely. And I say smaller than 5e. It's still an extremely popular game.
I mean, everything's smaller than 5e.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, it's people definitely do play it. The thing, though, that if you're like comparing Mörkborg to Pirate Borg, like Mörkborg can be a little divisive in that it's very, the game is set in an apocalypse that is coming. Every morning in game, you roll to see if one of 7 psalms have been read, and on the 7th psalm reading, the world ends. Now, what size die you roll depends on how long you want your campaign to go. But like, it's very much like, imagine, the scene in Monty Python where they're like, bring out your dead, and then they like hit their heads. Imagine if you played like a whole campaign in that. Like, not everybody wants to do that. Like, not everybody wants to live in this like very dark fantasy kind of. Imagine like you're living in Dark Souls or something. But everybody knows how to act like a pirate. Like,
everyone knows how to act like. Well, you could do both. You could be a pirate.
You definitely do both, and you can do. I mean, Pirate Borg is grimdark as well, but I think the difference between Mörkborg and the rest of the industry and Pirate Borg and the rest of the industry is that there's lots of fantasy games. There's lots of options. Even in grimdark fantasy, there are lots of options.
Mm-hmm.
There are no grimdark pirate options, and there are only a few pirate options in general. So I think that's where, kind of the popularity with Pirate Borg has kind of picked up a bit of the, not slack, but, we've carved out a different niche. I think that the overlap between the two communities is not as big as you'd think. I think we have a lot of unique Pirate Borg players, and I know there's a ton of Mörkborg people who do not care about Pirate Borg.
That makes sense. I think the Dark Souls comparison is pretty apt. Steven often will call like almost anything the Dark Souls of tabletop RPGs. He's called Pathfinder 2 the Dark Souls of tabletop RPGs, which it is not.
I have.
You have done that before. You said it's like Dark Souls because compared to D&D, which is very easy to win in a lot of cases, you may use more tactics.
Well, so you're not talking about the rules.
I'm talking about in comparison.
The level of difficulty.
Yes.
Pathfinder is not for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
In that sense, like, to be fair, when people call things the Dark Souls of X, also Dark Souls even itself is not as like terrifyingly, incredibly hard and impossible as it has a reputation for being. There are a lot of games out there that are more so. It's just kind of the one that's more popular, that is known for being harder than standard. But when we talk about something that really is like that feeling of Dark Souls of like, this is hard, you're just gonna die all the time, I think Mörkborg is a very fair comparator. And obviously they have like a Dark Souls-esque video game that's coming out too. So,
well, but I want to say though, yes, it's deadly. It can be very deadly, but I don't think that's what people mean. I think that like when they say it's like the Dark Souls of RPGs, it's the art direction and the vibe and these like old ruinous cities. Like I think for me, that's the part of it that feels Dark Soulsy. You know, I mean,
I'd say both.
realistically, you're not playing the same character. You're not learning from your mistakes with the boss like you would in Dark Souls. You're very much like an expendable, useless part of society. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the gameplay loop is not like Dark Souls, if you're asking.
Of course. But it totally has the same vibes with
absolutely
the decaying world. And honestly, it has the kind of vibe that Dark Souls like tries to hint at with the story stuff that you get, but that the actual gameplay of Dark Souls doesn't necessarily deliver the vibe. So. They're kind of in the background, but in BORG, it's kind of more in the foreground as well.
Well, yeah, it's an RPG. Of course, you need to know what's going on. You can't just be like, here's your femur, have fun in the world. You know?
Here's a femur. There's one line of flavor text description of that femur that tells an entire story.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
I mean, and you know, Dark Souls, even more so than Dark Souls, Darkest Dungeon. I think anybody who's played or has Pirate Borg
I played
knows.
Darkest Dungeon all the way through.
Darkest Dungeon is
one and
huge influence on Pirate Borg.
Oh, really?
Oh my! I mean, yes.
Actually, now I look at it, you're 100% right because it's
like Chris
like the same
Brassel,
art
the
style.
art director for that game. But yeah, the art in that game. I mean, everything about that game. Obviously, you aren't playing a dungeon crawler in Pirate Borg. You're a pirate. But that game has the perfect mix of like you're useless, but you can become useful, and there's like a Lovecrafty and cosmic horror element. Those are all things that are like key pillars of the Pirate Borg experience. So.
Those are all like the best parts of Darkest Dungeon. But the thing that caused me to quit was that you could actually be useful, but then suddenly have a run that not just screwed over what you currently did in that run, but ruined every other run you had done in the entire game.
Well, I mean, that's like
I would just like that. I spent a lot of hours on my runs until suddenly all of my runs had been undone. I was like, I don't know.
Well, that's why you have backup. So you have to have like 3 teams. You have to do it like a hockey.
At least
lineup.
3 teams, yeah.
Yeah, if you do it like if you have 1 team, you're dead. You need 3.
I'm on my first real playthrough. I've beaten one of the 3 Darkest Dungeon missions in the Darkest Dungeon, and I know I've done enough. I mean, that game is very much. You know, I like watch their live streams, their old live streams from before the Kickstarter, like one I'm drawing sometimes, you know. So I'm very much like, okay, I gotta get a bunch of teams, but I'm trying not to fail out and have my team get wiped, you know.
So. Yeah, I don't know. I love that game, but it's a little too long. I will say that game goes.
It's a long grind.
It's too long. It's like
and they've admitted to that. The first one especially is like a long grind.
Yeah. Well, the second one, I couldn't get into the second one. I tried, but something's.
I actually, honestly, have been too busy since the second one came out, and I want to beat the first one, so I haven't beat the first one yet. I don't have much time for video games, unfortunately.
Ah, well. You always have to have some time.
Although we do, me and the team will blow off steam and Sea of Thieves. I mean, I say this all the time at our convention booths. The elevator pitch for people who play video games, for Pirate Borg, is Sea of Thieves meets Darkest Dungeon. That's like that. If you understand that pitch, you understand what Pirate Borg is.
If you understand that pitch, you probably are someone who should play Pirate Borg because
if you know both those things and you don't, if you're like, oh no, I played both those games and don't like them, I'm like, okay, wow, you know. But then on the flip side, if you're not a video gamer, I would say it's Pirates of the Caribbean meets Army of the Darkness. That's like, you know.
So let's back up because we really jumped all over the place. First of all, I noticed that on the back cover you made her eyes glow, which is
they have a for those in the printing industry, it's a UV spot. It's a spot gloss just on her eyes. Yes.
You and I can talk a long time because
and
I got this is I can look at this one. This is our special edition cover.
Nice.
So we have UV
foil stamp there.
Yeah, we have UV. See that UV here, and then we have foil stamp. On black. So it's like
love that.
As many as
I love this next book we're doing is a 5 or 6 color PMS like Pantone cover. So we're not using CMYK, we're using 6 unique inks plus a UV spot.
Oh, really?
A embossing and a glow in the dark spot.
Okay, so I got to know what your printer, because I ran out, because they could do CMYK and then 2 they could do 2 others, and that was it. So I ran. They
Yeah,
said
well, I think
you have to put it through twice to do that.
Yeah, no, I think we're up at. I mean, they quoted me, so I'm assuming they're going to be able to do it. So
Yeah, they'll probably have to do it twice because most printers can. I mean, I guess some can go past 6, but most only go to 6 rolls.
Well, hopefully they just. If I don't need them to do CMYK, so maybe they can just pull those out.
Oh well, if they're doing, that's how they're probably doing it.
Because it's not like the art for that cover for the Down Among the Dead cover is like a 6-color, concert poster style. Like I drew it thinking of printing it on a printing, with a screen printing. So
wow, that's going to be very, very cool. Well, anyhow, we're getting a little too geeky for everyone, but because I could talk about
a little
this
too
stuff.
into the covers and the layout. Although it is interesting, I think
love
our
it.
audience
Like
enjoys it.
Like if you can go too nerdy on an RPG show, you are in the right place, right?
Well, we could really, because I do the layout, and my background is print and layout and design, so I'm like, I can go heavy. This is, I do all the layouts, and
we would talk about bleeds and trapping and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
no, let's go. I'm ready.
No, I don't need to go into that. Although we did get, here you see, I did get my proofs back for Secret Dragons. These are the end papers. So I got this back today, and then I had to get back because it printed too dark, so I had to get these are the proofs for Secret Dragons. And
those look great.
And then I had to do them a little lighter. So one's light and one's even lighter, and so I wanted them to see.
Yeah, see, I mean, for Fireborg, I was in such a hurry. We got the inside proofs. And then when I was like, can I change this? They're like, oh yeah, but you have to pay to reprint them all because we reprinted them. And I'm like, what? Okay, well,
I had to pay for these again, but I'm very good at once I know the print tolerances and how what I need. Like I can figure it out. Like I can do it by eye. I just unfortunately, I need to do it a few times. But now I've done this enough because I've never printed on black before. So now I see like this. If you see this on Photoshop, this green is like super bright green. Like this, it's like 100 times brighter than here. Like, it's like, it basically hurts your eyes, but it comes out just fine because you're printing on black. So you lose, it does a lot. Like it's really dark. It gets very, very, very dark when you print.
I like that we were like, let's get away from the nerdy print talk. And then we went
go right into the nerdy print. Anyhow, so
Steven
explain
can't
to
help
me.
himself from digressing.
No one can talk. No one else talks about. You know how many people I talk to print about at a high level? 0. Okay,
we should get Yumi and Johan. Johan is like a master of print. He is. Whew.
Really? Well, he and I should talk because I got a degree. I have a degree. I have a.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think Johan was a advertising graphic designer for years.
So why? That's my day job. I advertise and graphic design.
Go.
So he and I can talk. And I have at GATF, Graphical Arts Technical Foundations, where I got my degree.
Oh, nice.
So I know I could talk print. Anyhow, what is BORG? Explain to me, what is this BORG? Why BORG? What is Pirate Borg versus Cyborg versus Luke Borg? There's not a Luke Borg, but there could be.
And then I have my additional question where I know the answer to that, but I think it's good to have you answer.
Well, I don't know the answer.
I want to know why the word Borg, the fortress word at the end, is used in all of them, even though not all of them have fortresses, but all of them are very dark themed and could have used the Mörk,
why
darkness
not,
word.
Why about Pirate Mörk or Mörk Pirate?
Mörk Pirates or whatever.
I guess I should call my setting book that's coming up. It shouldn't be Dark Caribbean. It should be Mörk Caribbean, right?
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so here I'll give the crash course for people who maybe are listening and have no idea what I say. Mörkborg. It's more accurately pronounced Mörkborg or Mörkborg. It's Swedish for dark fort or dark castle.
That's it. I'm calling it Dark Castle from now on. That's.
I mean, no, that's really like the word is. It's not. It's translation. It's not a literal like fort or castle. Either one. It could go with both. The game is. It almost is like an experiment between two guys from the Stockholm Cartel named Johan Nor and Pelle Nilsson. And basically they were going to do a zine, and then they got Free League involved to publish it, and it got a little bit bigger to be a big book. But they wanted to do all these things that Johan had learned in the print industry, like foil stamps inside the book and a printed ribbon, and all, and like things like break all the rules. Instead of using 3 fonts in the whole book, he uses like over 100. Like they and like experiment with getting an RPG into people's heads in a totally different way by breaking all the rules. For example, one of the pages is like the weapons that you might have. One of them is an entire page dedicated to the femur as a D4. But the idea here is like, yes, you could have put that on one line in 8-point font, but by having a whole page dedicated, you're showing like, hey, this is actually a really important part of the setting, that kind of thing. Well, anyway, the game was a huge, huge hit. But first as a cult hit, the Kickstarter did well, but in hindsight, they won like the core book won 4 ennies that first year, and the fan base behind it is very rabid. It does get a lot of kind of like, I'm into metal and this is my first RPG, or like I'm a graphic designer and this book is like a cool art book. But the thing is, for me, I played this game as a break from my Pirates of the Caribbean style 5th edition game and found it to be the most fun I'd ever had playing an RPG, because I was in such a deep 5e world and dealing with my metagaming like rules lawyer players, breaking all my theme and story points by knowing the rules better than me. And I was so sick of that happening that when we played Mörk, all we did was laugh, and ridiculous things would happen, and somehow we survived, even though we should have died many times, and the world was ending. But like we found, instead of playing this like all powerful magical sorcerer, I'm playing this like crappy hermit, and like my buddy is an herb master, and after we like kill the necromancer, we are like smoking joints on the roof of Galgenbeck. It's just like a totally not what you would have expected out of RPG experience. So yeah, I started making BORG. At first it looked very similar. It was very yellow and bright pink, and I did not find it went with my maps, which my first gig in this industry is doing. I run a map Patreon. It's not just maps now, it's BORG stuff too, but at the time it was only battle maps, mostly ships. It didn't work together, so I redid the whole book, changed the color palette to be more of a muted paper in-world artifact, darkest dungeon vibes like we talked about. Kickstarted it. I have enough experience in marketing that the Kickstarter did pretty well on its own, but then I think I got a little bit viral and did very well. And then it went from BORG being a cool side project to being like the cornerstone of our entire company. Now we're running our second Kickstarter for an expansion book, but we're also doing a BORG starter set and a player's guidebook and dice and all these cool little add-ons that we didn't get to do the first time around, like a GM screen. And it's $500,000 right now. So I don't really know. I guess it's still my cornerstone of my company. So it's been a pretty wild ride. Yeah.
Well, as I was saying,
my long answer to your short question.
I knew it was doing way, because I was talking to Professor Dungeon Master about your BORG beforehand, and I said to him, I knew it did way better than you expected because you blew through like 20 stretch goals in like 4 hours. Yeah. I was like,
yeah,
yep, that's not as good as
I think we're coming up on stretch goal number 30. I mean, we had to have a meeting to be like, okay, like let's try to realistically plan now that we're in, day 7 or whatever, what we think this might do. And the stretch goals are an important dance. You don't want to make too many and not hit the things that you want in the project. You also don't want to make things that you don't actually want to do. Like with BORG, I was like, okay, I'll just make a bunch of new stretch goals. And then I had to like 50 extra pages to make for the book, So it delayed it another 6 months because I was like writing all new dungeons and stuff, which I think was worth it in the end. But with this book, we want to ship as close to now as possible, because I'm really trying to get back to working on the thing I've always wanted to make, even before I started making BORG, which is called The Dark Caribbean, which is going to be a setting book. Now that with all this BORG success, it'll be a setting book. I think we're going to do 3 versions, 5e version, which I always planned on doing, a BORG version, which is the obviously correct place for that book. And we're talking about doing a Shadowdark version where we take out all the color layers of all the art, because they're all done very inky comic book style and doing a shadow. I can't call it this, but Shadowdark Caribbean would be the working title for the book. Yeah. So yeah. Okay, wait. I wanted to answer your question, Mark. What you asked me about why Borg. Okay, so I think the easy trajectory is there are a lot of Mörk somethings, Mörk's Dungeon, and there's a bunch of them. But the first project is called Borg. The second one that's from like the cartel, the official guys, even though it was a different writer, Christian Slolin, I think is his last name, is Cyborg, which obviously is a pun on Borg, but it solidifies that you can say Borg and not Borg. And after that happened, I was like, okay, well, I guess you can, we can do whatever. And, I'll be honest, I wanted my game to do well. I wanted people to know what it was immediately. I wanted them to like, there you go, Cyborg. So I called it Pirate Borg. Just, it's, shamelessly a marketing thing. I mean, Pirate Fort does work, but I didn't drop the E, not Swedish. I just wanted people to know what it was. Sue me, I guess. Sorry, not sorry.
That makes sense.
So,
that was honestly my guess at what the answer would be. If I was like, well, that's the only thing I could think of, but I wanted to know if there was like a deeper story or some other thing to it.
No. I mean, I was aware that Pirate Fort works. Of course it works. Yeah. But I seriously considered running a poll after the Kickstarter campaign ended and asking people if I should change the name. My working title has kind of always, my backup has always been Pirate Ship, but with a Y, Pyrat ship. That's kind of a nod to Mothership, and that you're playing, you get a pirate ship in this game, So we'll still use that down the road, but we then suffer from our own success in that everybody knows what Pirate Borg is. Like, it worked well for a reason.
Oh, you're stuck.
So while it's not the best possible name, man, has it like delivered, like, what Borg is? It's that but pirates. Like, you get that in the name. So
yeah. So let me ask you the simplest of questions, because actually a couple of people have asked it. By the way, don't forget, super chats always get answered. We're so bad at promoting our own site. And do like and subscribe. And I am out of player handbooks. I have bad news, everyone. I'm out of player handbooks. So I can't give out any more player handbooks. But guess what? I got good news, because I got a ton of mimics. Hello. I got tons of these, baby, and I can give these out for free. Does anyone want a Pirate Borg mimic? I'm calling it that, even though it's not. But we can call it.
It is a treasure chest.
It's a treasure chest.
Come on, man. It's pretty piratey,
Luke, can I call this a Pirate Borg mimic?
By all means.
I got his permission, Mark. I can call it a Pirate Borg mimic.
Fair enough. You know what? I actually got mine before Steven for the first time in human history. It was really good.
I got two.
I showed it to my wife. She really adores the mimic, and it's got some really cool features. It's a very satisfying sound when it opens and closes that you won't be able to hear. The reason it's able to hang open like that is because Steven put magnets into the little pink things on the side, which allows it to stay open at just about any angle. And magnets. We found that it could easily hold like 50. 4 or 5 sets of dice.
I've fit 40 to 50 of your dice. It's very deep. It holds a lot of dice.
The problem is, even though it's not only deep, but the top could theoretically have held even more, but you can't because it'll come out on the sides.
Well, what you do is, but if you want it open, you can keep them here and here if you want.
If it's open, it can hold significantly more because you can then use the top.
And if it's actually a Pirate Borg mimic, I wouldn't use it for dice. I would use it for Devil's Luck coins, because in Pirate Borg, we have a D2,
you can put that in there.
A D2 mechanic that people also hold the D2s like their Devil's Luck that they're tracking. That would fit in there perfectly.
We even got the little logo on there too.
You could easily hit Bell with Devil's Luck coins.
Just slap a Pirate Borg compatible with Pirate Borg sticker on there. You're good to go. Although mimics are not very Dark Caribbean, at least as of now, but each their own, right?
Well, it works. But my point is, if you guys stick around to the end, I'm going to give one of these out for free. That's my new thing. I'll start giving out mimics for free because I own these. I got hundreds of these. So
Yeah.
I thought you only made a few more than the amount that were necessary.
I made an extra 100-ish. So
okay, so by hundreds you mean you have like about 100. So it is pretty exclusive, and they're going to run out.
they're going to run out. And it took 9 months. I mean, these are handmade, so it takes a long time to make these. So I'm probably not going to do it again.
From Mark T, who loves it so much that he bought 3 extra in addition to the free one.
I also have the limited edition. So by the way, this is the pre. See, this is what it looked like before. So it was a little more cartoony. You
and you can see that on this one, the metal of it also
look at the metal.
Like,
it does look like metal. So when
the metal on it just looks perfect, whereas in this one, it looks. And if you see the real one, it looks aged and worn down.
Well, that's what
almost
I told
as if like the metal has been like scoffed and other things like that. It was clearly done artistically.
Well,
but,
this one,
I know it's hand painted.
Yeah, they're all hand painted.
It's amazing.
I know. China. What do you want? Well, this is what they did. I mean, a lot of those things, when you see those, like, those Hummels and all that, they're all done by hand. And I found a company, and this is what they do. And they made, like, I talked to the sculptor. We went through a couple of sculpts. I learned a whole bunch, and then they obviously sent me this one, and I didn't get another one because it's a lot of work to get these things from China.
Wait, was it your sculptor or theirs?
Their sculptor.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
But then because first we did it with a lot of eyes, but then the teeth didn't come out that much. The teeth actually were much more, they were closer in. So I had the teeth come out really far. Like you can see how far they come out, like really far. And then I gave him 2 eyes, and then you can kind of see there's kind of a nose, like a little bit of a nose. Some people that wrote me, they're like, "Oh, I don't like it. It looks too much like a human face. I wanted it to look like a weird mimic." And I'm like, well, then you make your own. I'm like,
I think my idea for your second batch is you put a little like spring-loaded catapult inside, so you drop your D20 in, and when you open it, it spits out your D20 like a dice tower and rolls the D20 for you.
Wait, that is pretty cool.
I think, well, you know what? If you're old enough, you're probably not old enough, but they had back in the Star Wars days, they had the Boba Fett, and it actually had a rocket launcher. And you press a button.
No, I remember. I'm 83. I had original generation Star Wars toys.
Okay. I don't know. Well, you look young.
I know about that Boba Fett.
Right, and it was recalled because it was a choking hazard. That's when they started with choking hazards.
That's why I know about it. Because of it being recalled. I'm a little younger than Luke, but it's still, of those original Star Wars toys, it's one of the most famous ones.
Right.
Oh yeah. If you have like an original one in the package, isn't it like $500,000?
No, it's not that much. Actually, I forgot which show I was watching, but there's a show where these guys would go around like buying rare stuff, and this was like one of the singers from the Foo Fighters or something. Like he got the original package. It was pre-painted. It was a prototype. And he bought it, and it was like $73,000 he bought it for, or something like that, which is still a lot, but not $500,000, I mean, you always hear about that. I'm like, here's the thing about collectibles. You have to find someone who will pay that. Because people are like, oh, it's worth $500,000. I'm like, okay, find the person who will pay the $500,000. Good luck. That's the thing. It's worth it, but to who? You got to find that one person.
I think that with Antique Roadshow, they're always like, this is worth this much at auction. I was like, I mean, at the right auction, but who's gonna pay for like an old watch,
No, exactly. Like, my favorite thing from Antique Roadshow or those is like, I got rocks in my backyard that are 1 billion years old. They're not worth anything. It's like, although I will say, and then we'll get back on topic, is that, what they say is it cheap as dirt? I had to like redo my lawn, and dirt is not cheap. Let me tell you.
Yeah. We
I had to like put that old like toppler. I'm like, I thought it says like dirt cheap. There's no such thing as dirt cheap. Dirt is expensive, man.
Yeah, there is. And like, there's different qualities of dirt. Like, I have a little pond out the back that we filled in when we moved into this house. Fill dirt, not cheap, but like dirt you can grow plants in is very expensive.
I know.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, that's how expensive things have gotten. Is that even dirt isn't cheap anymore? Anyhow.
Yeah, in the future, they're going to be like, they're expensive. Be like, wow.
Well, I know it's going to be rock cheap. That's the new.
Yeah.
That's my new saying because rocks are still cheap.
Yeah.
Okay, so Pirate Borg.
Yeah.
All these Borgs. I saw some people ask this, and I have a question. How do you play this game? And I'm not trying to be a dick here, but like I look at these games and and I see there's a lot of tables. There's classes. There's monsters. There's more tables. There's more tables. There's tables inside tables. I'm like, okay, I get it. There's a lot of things here, but where's the game? Like, what is this? All I see is tables and stuff. You know? Like, how do you play?
Okay, so I mean, this kind of taps in. This is kind of tapping into my thing about Mörk Borg being about vibes.
Right.
The kind of play that I like to play, which is why I have enjoyed the OSR so much and the new SR, depending on how you want to splice it, is that it's much more about emergent gameplay and following your players where they want to go and then building the story about what they're doing rather than having some larger arc planned. Even if you're running something sandboxy, like Curse of Strahd is very sandboxy, but there's a story there that you're waiting for your players to kind of uncover. In emergent gameplay, the opposite is true. There is no story in Pirate Borg that their players are supposed to discover. Even the adventure in the back, which is a sandbox adventure called The Curse of Skeleton Point. Basically, there's a bunch of core NPCs with what they want, and there's a bunch of locations where they might be existing, and then there's a table for what happens on this island if your players do nothing, So then if you're going to run this kind of gameplay, I mean, especially with the pirate game, like, hey, you give them a ship, you give them a map of the world, they can go anywhere. Well, how are you going to plan for what is on Tortuga versus Havana versus Nassau? And still, how can someone who has a normal life plan all those things without doing what's that old OSR blog about the teleported orc, where you just move the encounter you had in front of your players? Like, you could do that, sure. But the way that you run a campaign like that is by building the game with emergent gameplay in mind, with tables in mind. So in Pirate Borg, there are, I think there's 200 roll tables in the game. The idea is that it's a toolkit. So, hey, I need a treasure map. Well, I don't know where it goes. Well, you know what? Let the table tell you where it goes. Or instead of a dungeon, we're going to do derelict ship exploration. Well, what's on this derelict ship? Well, turn to page, whatever, and then you can roll up. What kind of ship is it? What cargo is on it? Like, what is the primary thing that lives there now? Like, that's kind of the idea. And then it's just a lot more, improv at the table, which I found, and I think a lot of our community have found, is actually a way more fun way for both sides to play the game that we all love so much. When a GM doesn't have to spend all their time prepping and they're able to sit back and respond to what the players are doing instead of worrying about what the book says. I think that actually has provoked much more memorable experiences for our community, because GMs are no longer trying to railroad the players into doing things. The players are making the rolls themselves. They're discovering things they never would have thought would happen. They're going big now, as I say on my YouTube channel, where they're like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to give you the ship of the line. I'm going to give you the biggest ship in the game. And now you're going to have to deal with every other pirate in the ocean coming after you, that kind of thing.
All right,
so I think that's kind of the, overall ethos vibe of the, Pirate Borg, Mörk Borg world.
You know what? I just realized something, Mark. I forgot about this. So I don't know if you know this. We wrote a pirate adventure too.
I don't know if you know this, but you actually talked to me about doing a map for this game.
Oh, that's right. You and I did talk about that.
I mentioned this to you, and I looked at after we chatted about it last, because I was like, yeah, I'll totally do maps. The thread just went dry. I think you must have got busy or something.
No, I got Jared Blando to do the maps. That's why.
Oh, there you go. Well, Jared, yeah, sure. He's, I think he wanted battle maps though. But yeah, I was like, oh yeah, pirate adjacent. It's kind of like pirate.
Yeah, we're really feeling embarrassed.
So
yeah. Well, no, I was exploring people to do maps, and then Jared was available, and then he ended up doing all of the maps. So
yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I'm sure everyone's good and your stuff is good, but Jared is he's he's a whole other level of good. He's
Sure,
like
sure.
the best of the best. Although, boy, does he take a long time, let me tell you. His maps, though, whew, it's like you can't even see if you had the original Photoshop files. Like I see, like you see these maps, and you're like, oh my god, these maps are incredible. I'm like, dude, if you like zoom in, it's like every inch. It's like the detail in these maps is it's lost on the print. It's
By being in print, yeah.
it's too much. But oh well, anyhow, yeah. I'd be curious to see what you thought of our final book because it's very opposite of what you said. And it's
yes,
it is very linear.
There's nothing wrong with that. That is I have found having run enough campaigns, that's not the style that I like.
Yeah.
And that I don't, and like I think Ghost of Saltmarsh is a good example. This is a 5th edition book that hashes through a bunch of remastered old adventures that you can tie them together if you want, but it like misses the thing that you want to do in a pirate campaign, which is sail your ship around to all kinds of weird islands and do whatever you want. Like that's the point. You need a way to do whatever you want. That's the little cool thing. The thing that makes like Assassin's Creed Black Flag and Sid Meier's Pirates like such fun games is like, I'm going to go down to South America right now. Why not? So that was kind of one of the design pillars for Pirate Borg, is to support a way to play like that, where you can just go wherever. Of course we have adventures, but even those adventures are designed, hey, here's what's in this place, we're not going to tell you what's going to happen. We're going to give you motivations and then let you decide when those motivations smash against each other.
I don't know. We talked about this, Mark. I had a very, very long story short is we were supposed to stream. We do play our games every Monday, and we're doing, and I stream my games, and then one of the players, his cat got sick, so we had to cancel. And then I'm just like, all right, let me just stream with Jason. And we talked about that, of like the different types of style of gameplay and how, like adventure path type play where it's literally you are playing almost like a movie. it's like, yeah, you can go in other directions, but at the end of the day, it is linear. It is a path. We have kind of but at least for this group, not only do we want it and prefer it, it's like we want it and we prefer it and we enjoy it more because Jason gave me all these hooks for his character of like backstory and cool things that can happen. And whenever we tried to explore that, even for like a few minutes, people were like, okay, enough of that. Let's get back on like to the main story. Like it's just for that group. That's not why they're there. Like they're there for a huge overarching Game of Thrones type story that they're part of.
Well, and I think you nail it. It really depends on the group, because I mean, I've run a lot of Pirate Borg at this point, and there are some groups that it just doesn't gel for them. Mostly the experience we find is people are like, wait, what do you mean I don't have to roll to do that? Like, for example, there's no attacks of opportunity. There's no skills. There's only 5 ability scores. So there's a lot more. I want to do this. Okay, what does it look like? Then, okay, make this roll, Some people really don't like that. Some people want the structure of the rules, but other groups have the opposite experience where they like really decide that they can flourish, especially people who don't play as many role-playing games. They find that they can have more fun in a less structured environment. I mean, like, it's not a story game. Like, there are still rules. There are rules for drowning, and there are rules for, naval combat. You can't just say I destroy the ship, but having some rules on top of a lot of vibe and theme, I've just found that's my preferable level of play, or style of play, I should say.
So what was running? So you said there was like 100 games at Gen Con or something like that. What were they running? Like, what was the adventure? How does that work exactly?
So last year we ran a lot of Curse of Skeleton Point, the adventure in the book. But we want to keep it fresh. So this year we focused on Buried in the Bahamas, which is a zine adventure that I wrote. It's kind of what should have been in the book, in that it's shorter and starts linear. It starts with your ship is attacked by undead skeletons and it shipwrecks, which is not very, Pirate Borg, to like tell the GM what to do, but it starts linear and then gives the player some options. Do you go to Island A or go to B? Do you build a raft now, or do you try to, fight off the monsters? That has been a very good onboarding experience. for people. So we ran a lot of that. We ran another adventure called the Battle of Dead Man's Cove, which is a kind of like naval combat intro adventure. A pamphlet just kind of gives the players a small fleet, does a treasure grab in a cave, and then ends with a big naval combat with sea monsters. And then we had a third one that we ran a lot this year called The Sinking of Cathagan, which is actually written by JVC Perry. And it's like a Lovecraftian city that's risen out of the water and it's sinking back in. And there are cultists and pirates and deep ones who all want different things. And the other big thing we did this year was a Gen Con. We did a mega game that's kind of like co-sponsored by Dwarven Forge, where it's a 4-hour event. There are 4 groups, and each table has a different set of terrain. So your group rotates every hour which table they're on. And then the GMs track how much treasure they get out of each encounter, whether it's a naval combat encounter or like a dungeon crawl, or there's one that's just a pirate town. And then we give out prizes based on which table got the most loot and which player died the most. So that's fun. Yeah. So we've got a bunch of different events. Yeah.
By the way, I was curious. I looked you up to see our past emails. I do see you unsubscribing from the Roll for Combat newsletter.
Well, dude, you sent so many emails.
April 12th, 2022. Once a week.
It's funny. I actually had someone was like, they put a picture. Hopefully this is helpful for you. Someone put a picture of all the emails they got when Down Among the Dead launched on Kickstarter. They're like, hey, yeah, sorry, you just were signed up in 3 different places. And some dude was like, don't worry, this is nothing compared to Roll for Combat.
Yeah,
it's nothing personal. Also, you make 5e Pathfinder stuff, neither of which I am in the sphere for anymore.
True.
It's nothing personal.
I know. I was just making
Steven,
fun of
you do, especially if people sign up for multiple places, send them, like, if you only sent the once a week newsletter,
I know, but I can't do anything about
had
that.
the cool story in it and all of the weekly news, I think that you wouldn't have the reputation you do, which all the people I know who are subscribed to it, possibly because they want to support me, always say that you send too many of these other, not the weekly one that is just like, no, it's running out now. Time is running out, and you'll just send like every couple days, possibly multiple at once if they've signed up in multiple places.
I can't. They're different email lists.
But can you use like something like MailChimp to make sure that
you
they're
can
only getting them a certain
they're not
number
always
of times?
No, they unsubscribe. They won't get it anymore. That's how it works. There's
then
the weekly newsletter.
That's what it is.
Well, keep in mind the Kickstarter ones are separate. So I can't do anything. So if you
okay, that's fair enough. So
right. So people are like, oh, I get a lot. I'm like, did you like back like 3 Kickstarters? I'm like, yeah. It's like, well, you're gonna get 3 then, because I'm like, there's 3 different updates, and each one's separate.
I'm a collaborator on the Kickstarter, and all the people who talk to me back to all of them. So we probably see more than an average person. That does make sense, I suppose.
Yeah, and also, so it's Mark's like, I'd rather be over communicated than less. Yet, I still keep getting people like, where's my book? Where's this? Where's that? Where's this? I'm like, I send that.
You get the full range, man.
Right. I'm like, I send out, you guys are like, you send out too much information. And yet I keep getting people going, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, well, I can't seem to win.
Yeah, Steven, I had one with, go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say that I want to hear what you were going to say, Luke, but the secret of communication is that people want to get the answer to the question they want to know, but only in the place that they want to look, which might not be either the place that you wanted to put it or even the place that most people would think is the most likely place that you would find that information. And if it's not in the place that they want to look, they might not go and look in the other place. That's been my experience.
That's very fair. I mean, I discovered with Pirate Borg, with the first Kickstarter, I had people who were like hounding me for updates. Like, we haven't had an update in X number of days. And then I had one guy who was like, please stop sending so many updates. And I was like, why are you so bothered? I actually asked him, and he's like, I keep my inbox totally clean, and you keep popping up. And I was like, are you a crazy person? Like, if I kept my email box empty, I would have no life. Like, there's just no way for me to, and I'm pretty OCD about it. Like, I do a good job checking my emails out. You know, it's just like, what I learned though is there's no way to do what everybody wants correctly with communication and still have them know the information you want them to know, you know?
Yeah.
So,
well,
whatever.
yeah. It also, I hate to say it, it works.
Yeah, I mean, no,
yeah,
you're
I mean,
not
people-
wrong, Steven. I'm the person who never wants to bother anyone, and it's actually a problem that I don't want to bother anyone. I know that my inability to like cold call, contact people, or send things when I think I'm going to bother them is a flaw, because it's to the extent where I'm almost never really actually bothering people when I do it. But in the few times that I am and someone seems bothered, though, it just sets it off for me, and I can't do it again for a while.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I put on, it's like I actually go out of my way. I subscribe to as many things as possible, and just so I know what's going on. And like if I almost never unsubscribe, I'll just organize it. I have things organized, but I like to see. I like to see what's going on. I like to see.
Well, I mean, but also I did back one of your Kickstarters, so like I do still get the updates.
Which one did you back?
Like I backed the one that you didn't hire me for.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Battlezoo or whatever.
I feel bad.
The Indigo Isles, Dragons, and Battlezoo Bestiary.
Oops.
The first one.
Okay.
The first one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, everyone seemed to back that one. Well, again, at the time, plus I didn't know it. Now I feel bad, but in fact, I can make it up to you if you have time, because I love your art. I'd love you to do something.
I'm trolling
for
you now
us.
because it's fun. We have this past communication in common. I love it.
Well, that's so silly. Well, because back then I was asking a whole bunch of people, and I didn't think I would get Blando, because I was like, dude, you have to do like 60 maps for me. Okay, it's gonna take you like 2 years, and it did. It literally took him 2 years. Like it took him.
Also, I mean, the flip side too is, my Patreon did pretty well pretty quickly.
Okay.
I'm not trying to boast, just trying to put it in context.
Yeah.
So my commission rate is per map is my rate on Patreon, because why would I make a map for somebody else when I can make one for myself?
Oh yeah.
So when I tell people my rates, like I've only been commissioned maybe once or twice because my Patreon rates, went too high too quickly.
Got it.
Sorry, I guess. Sorry again.
He did. He was available, and then he was just, once he started, he would crank, and then it was and then it was but then unfortunately it was like any of these projects, like it started off really well, then by the end it was just like he was like just doing them pretty. Thank God.
We are creatives, man. We don't want to. I don't want to do the same thing when it's for me. I can't imagine wanting to do the.
Well, it was different types of maps, because for the last chapter,
but still, though,
they're all like forests. Like they're very generic. There were a lot more. There's like a good mix of generics and dungeons. Like dungeons.
Yeah, sure.
Whew, you got to be real specific. Like you get even like one thing wrong, and like there was not a lot, but it was every so often like, oh, this is wrong, this we have to go back and adjust it because he would get a square wrong or something. But I'm like, what's this? I'm like, just draw a freaking forest and put a swamp in there. He's like, cool. And I'm like, just do it.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons I think I've done well as a map maker is that I've always been bothered by the map not matching the adventure. I hate that. I'm like, if it bothers me as the GM, I'm gonna definitely deal with a player who wants to open the door that's not supposed to be there. So that's why I like writing my own adventures, because I can make sure it's perfect.
Yeah, and also Anyhow, our dungeons are. Someone's like, our dungeons are big. Yeah, they're really. That's the problem with books. It's like you can only make them so big, and that's why I like VTTs. And of all of them, I'll tell you the worst offender, actually, Mark, because I talked to Patrick Rennie not Jewel of Agents of Edgewatch. There's a dungeon at Agents of Edgewatch that I can't even. It is so massive. I mean, it took us months to get through this, and that's when he was still working at Paizo, and he wrote that adventure too. And I was like, dude, this map is way too big. And he goes, yeah, it got a little out of hand. Like it is gargantuan. It is so big.
Something I see sometimes is when you have a writer who writes without thinking about VTT in mind. You can get some really, really cool maps. But then when you go to like, oh, I need to make this for a VTT map, you're like, oh, this is either going to be way, way too big, like the file alone would be too big, or it'll be too boring, even if I did it, because like, oh, this room is like every room is like 300 feet by 500 feet or something, like, oh, this room's half a mile big. You're like, well, you're not going to put that in a 5-foot-inch
Right.
battle map. That might be great for an adventure, and you could just go like, okay, we run across it, like that.
Well,
That works
guess what?
great when you're playing Theater of the Mind, but those are the hardest to make battle maps for. You have to just be like, okay, here's a zoomed out version. You're in this room, guys.
So,
You're not gonna
Steven,
draw every 5-foot square.
I have a map question for you real quick. Were you saying that you wanted to do like a digital battle maps associated with the Year of Titans ancestries? Is that something I'm imagining, or was that something
No, that's
that
in
you
the
said?
Kickstarter.
That's what I thought you were saying, that the ancestries would have them, because Kraken is one of them.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking,
We're gonna
if you need
water.
to have a map made that is associated with Krakens, it sounds like you might
Maybe.
know someone who can do maps.
We'll
who's
see.
on this
We'll
call.
see. He seems pretty busy though, because he can't even play video
Yeah,
games.
that's true.
I am very, very busy, but that doesn't mean no. It just
Yeah,
depends,
okay. That's not a bit. Well, so what we're doing is, we added some maps as layers to a dungeon, and I found, I like you're busy. You kind of made it, I like to find people that are up and coming. This guy I found.
You're saying I missed my window?
No, not at all. I think but he is up and coming, and I need like 30 maps from him with 8 variations per map. So that's a lot, like you kind of need someone you need someone who's hungry. You need someone who's hungry.
You do,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and there's, especially as a map maker with a Patreon, like I said, I know my value. So it's like, well, I just don't have the time to do 30 maps for somebody unless they're going to pay me what they should pay me per one map, which is that would be just like the whole, budget for the whole project. So it doesn't happen, Good problem to have for me, I guess, but
Well, my point is that you get people that are hungry, that are excited to do the work and can do that much work. Because I often will get people who are like, oh yeah, I'm very interested. I'm like, okay, you need to do 10 to 20 illustrations. And they'll be like, oh, they're interested until you realize like, this isn't like you just sitting there doing 1 or 2. It's like you need to really understand, like, if you're going to do this for a living, you need to be able to crank, and there's a difference. So, anyhow, but so Pirate BORG is basically just a feeling. It's a look. It's a feeling. It's a.
It's a look. It's feel. I mean, if we're talking mechanically, it's D&D. It's basically BX D&D with some tweaks. You roll 3d6 down the line for your ability scores. You're rolling a d20 and adding a modifier. You're usually trying to beat a 12. Monsters have hit points. They have a morale score. They have an armor score, I guess. Basically, armor is a damage soak. So you don't have an AC. If you have chainmail, you're going to roll a d4. Or if you have plate, you're going to roll a d6 every time you take damage and negate d6 of it. But because you're wearing plate, you're easier to hit. It's very simple. Monsters don't have any stats beyond those, and their attacks. So it's basically 4 stats for a monster.
So how'd you end up with...
it's really easy to write for. It's really easy to run. It's very quick to table. It's very easy to teach. You look at the back end papers. That's the rules for the whole
that's
game.
what I'm looking at right now. It's like the whole thing.
Those are free on our
How'd you end
website.
up with Free
Mörk
League?
has a free version of their book on their website that doesn't have the art in it.
So wait, how'd you end up with Free League? So does Free League publish this? Like you wrote it and they ended up...
So basically Free League is we're on the Free League Workshop label. So basically we give them... The Pirate BORG is a little weird because they publish it after the fact. Before we went to print, but I had already said it, like everything was ready to go. Basically, we just put their logo on the back, and then they turned on all their normal promo and press stuff. But generally speaking, Free League Workshop is like the designers who are not Free League submit print ready files, and then they handle everything from there. Limithron's a little bit different because we're growing into our own little publishing thing. So we've kind of worked hard to maintain our own channels. Like we still sell Pirate BORG on our website. We still have it at conventions. We have a retailer option for direct sales, but then Free League handles international distribution and wholesale.
I see.
That makes sense. And the real big benefit for us is when it comes to retail release, they turn on all their marketing, press releases and interviews and stuff like that. So
that's the secret. How'd you end up getting it? Did they approach you, or
I sent them an email after we, the Kickstarter did really, really well. It was, depending on when you look at the conversion rate, it was the highest funded BORG project of all time besides Cyborg. So I think it was a no-brainer for them, and we used the same printer. Like I literally was using the same printer, so it was like, all they had to do was approve of it and like turn on all their parts.
That's very lucky.
So yeah, that was the first round, and then this next one they wanted to be involved, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to handle all the manufacturing sides of getting the files ready, and then they'll help do all the second half.
So for you though, you see, I don't know, back to this, it's like yours though, although is very well designed, it's very easy to understand, as opposed to look at Cyborg.
Well, Cyborg is even louder though. Do you
I
have
know.
Mörk?
Yeah, I know. That's what I have Mörk, and I'm like, Cyborg is like, whoa.
It is like it is
really
if you're
hard to
not into
understand.
that style, it can be very intense. Like if you're like neurodivergent, or if you have like reading disabilities, or maybe, I don't know if being colorblind would help or not, but the pages are very, very loud sometimes.
Yeah, some of the
personally,
stuff is
I love it. I think that Cyborg is a far superior book to BORG, in my own personal opinion. But I hear a lot of people say it's too much, that it didn't get in it. Neither book got nominated for an ennie, so it's like, what do we know? I guess.
Well, something about that, because it's funny, because you look at Shadowdark, which won. It's because
won period. Yeah.
Is that because now I'm actually using her template for our book, and I'm like, wow, this is so clean.
It's very clean.
It's so clean and so simple, and it's almost minimalistic, but yet it's very interesting. It's she did a very interesting job with that.
It's also
layout.
interesting that's the same award that BORG won. Like they both won the layout award, like
for very different things,
very different reasons. I mean, the ennies thing. I mean, we all know that the ennies are a popularity contest once you're through the judges.
Yeah.
Well,
So
100%. It's all about getting nominated.
Yeah.
And getting nominated
like
is very
Shadowdark
difficult.
Shadowdark is a great game and a smash hit made by a very awesome creator who is also well liked. No question, it should have won. But when Cyborg doesn't get nominated, I'm like, well, you didn't even let them compete. It's like. I think if you had let the BORG community vote, Cyborg would have won a couple ennies. This is the year prior. So
well, yeah, but you could say that. Yeah, it's
maybe there were no OSR dudes, or not just dudes or dudettes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In the judge panel that year, or maybe they were like, what, BORG already won. We're not going to let another one of these in. Like, who knows?
Things go.
You never know what's going on with the judges, but I think you're right. It would have at least taken bronze if it got past the judges, because that's just what the way the situation is. The judges are who decides whether it gets nominated. And then once you're at that point, it is how big is your online community who will vote.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not clear which community is the biggest who will vote. For instance, for example, Paizo had been not submitting to the ennies for a while because there were some things going around the ennies and some resignations of people. And so once Paizo came back in, it was not clear, like, to me, for sure, which had a higher voting base between Paizo and Shadowdark. So when they were nominated, it wasn't clear until they announced the first time that Shadowdark beat a Paizo product in one of the earlier categories. And so Steven had been just sending me all of the results live because he was sitting with Kelsey. And I said, okay, in that case, Shadowdark wins #1 in all of its categories. Because
I would like to think that they're
predicted in that way.
I would like to think that, though, as a community, like, I don't think that people are Shadowdark or Pathfinder. Like, I would like to think there are people who can like vote either way better on based on
There
which product is
are
better.
some.
You know.
Yeah, but when you vote, you have to rank. When you
But
vote,
overall, people are going to vote for the community that they care about, and
Yeah.
like Shadowdark has a very, very strong community that really cares about that game, so they're going to win. You know.
well, yeah. It's
But I
Not
think
what-
that the Morkborg community maybe is not the size of the Shadowdark community, but it was big enough. I think they could have pulled a bronze in one of the categories or a copper.
Well,
I can't remember which
to
one
be
it
clear,
is.
if we're talking about the
least.
Morkborg community, the game that would have been up against Shadowdark is Pirateborg. So I'm like, while I'm salty that I didn't get a nomination, I have no delusions that Kelsey would have still smacked me out of the running. At
no,
least
it
I could have
wasn't
said
even.
any
She
nominated.
was beating Paizo products. I mean, come on, it was
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
But you know, look, the thing about awards, someone said all awards. So my brother is a costume designer in Hollywood, and he's been nominated for an Oscar, and he's also won a million other awards. And he and I talked, and he said, not only did he lose out to the period piece, like from the 1800s, he's like, okay, he and I were talking about this. He goes, those are the least difficult to do. Like, here we go. So these. Any of those period pieces of the 1800s, of Victorian type movies, always win. They always win the Oscar. And my brother's like, not only should they not win the Oscar because, well, not only, but they should win the Oscar because they're very easy to do. Because, and I didn't know this, he goes, there's basically this costume house in London that does nothing but period pieces. So like when my brother does something, he has to physically like make things. He has to actually come together. Like he did Ghostbusters. Like he had to, if I go through the things he had to do to recreate the costumes from the 80s, because basically none of that technology or things even exist today. So it's like, it was very hard for him to actually make sure that the costumes look like what they looked like from the 80s, stuff like that. And he had to go through unbelievable difficulty. He goes, if you do a period piece, you literally call up this place in London, you say, this is what I need. You give them a spreadsheet and they just give it to you. And then you win an Oscar. Like, that's it.
And also, they're also still up against, like, they don't typically hand out Oscars to movies that aren't the ones that are going to win the other categories. I mean, every now and then you see like something win a visual effects award that didn't win anything else. But, like, I think they suffer from a different kind of politics, but the same kind of like, well, is this really the best sound design? Did everybody sit there and listen to the sound design, or did they pick the movie they thought was best?
This is the part that gets worse. Are you ready? This is the part that gets worse, at least for the Oscars. Now we're on a real tangent. The only people who vote for the Oscars of each category are the people in the category. So there's only about 100 people in the costume design category. That's it. That's all who votes in costume design. And so these are costume designers, and they should know better. They shouldn't be voting for the period piece because they know how freaking easy it is to do. But even they vote for it. And my brother was like, why are they voting for it? It's like,
can we get like some Academy or some RPG awards like that where only people who work in that field can vote on it? Because I think that would be a lot more meaningful, than like Chaos Team makes great stuff. But dude, how many awards do those guys have? Like, come on, Well,
like, there was a time where Paizo won every single year, every single category forever.
Yeah.
So it comes in waves because
I also think this is why Critical Role and Darrington don't really submit anymore.
I used to submit all the time, and when I started to submit, I mean, we've only been doing this for 3 years, but the first year, and I didn't. Not only I was upset because we didn't get anything, but not only that, like all the things that were nominated. And I mean, this is what we do for a living, and I read everything. I never heard of any of them. I was like, I haven't heard of any of this stuff. And this is what I do for a living, and I've never heard of any of these things. And I was like, come on, what is going on? I mean, that was the time when things were like indie was. This was like 3-4 years ago when indie was really exploding. And now it seems to balance out. Now it's back to, it used to be only mainstream. Then it was like super indie. Now it's sort of 50-50. It seems to be a little bit
I
mainstream.
don't know, David, some of those things you probably should have heard of. Not all of them.
No,
but
I mean, like Thirsty Sword Lesbians. Like, I heard of some of them. But heck, even the ones this year, I'd say 30% of them I never heard of 30% of the nominees this year.
Well, the idea of the ennie's model, because I hear you guys talking about there are always drawbacks to any possible award model. And ultimately, at the end of the day, awards go out to usually something that is from a large set of very qualified candidates, but is not necessarily like the best by any objective standard, but by just the way that the awards work, right? But they have to be good enough in some way to even get on there.
Yeah.
But the idea behind the ennies is, Stephen, intentionally to support the ones that you, Stephen, have never heard of.
Oh, I understand
that is why they do it.
But that's not what it started out.
Unfortunately, does mean sometimes a game like Pirate Borg that definitely, if it was just done by an open vote, I think would have had a decent shot in one of those categories at pulling at least a copper somewhere, right? But because of the,
I'm not saying that
it was going up against Shadowdark. This, to be clear, the reason why I'm saying the copper is going up against Shadowdark. It had Pathfinder in a few of the categories as well. But with the judges, the idea is, even if it's something that legitimately was small, and maybe, especially in the early years for the ennies versus some of the other awards that were being done at the time, like Origins Awards were one of the bigger other ones back then. They were very industry insider. But the idea with the ennies is, even if you'd only sold 100 copies or something like that, if like one of the judges really liked your book and then convinced the other judges to put it in there, you would get that ennie nomination. And of course you wouldn't win the open vote, but the ennie nominated, you could then put on your product.
Yeah,
and
sure, it helps.
once you did that, you'd go up from 100 to way more, and it would help these games. That's kind of the genesis of that system is, yeah, sure, pat on the back for when Wizards of the Coast or Paizo wins tons. Look, I worked at Paizo. I'm not trying to make fun of Wizards of the Coast or Paizo here, but pat on the back. Good job. You got nominated. You were good enough to do it. You won a certain number of awards. But also the idea was to not put as many all on those big companies, because if you gave good nominations to worthy small unknowns, they got this huge ennies boost. That at the time, indie, you're right, Stephen, indie wasn't exploding. And the ennies were one of the few ways, like in very early ennie years, that if you were indie, you could get seen. So, like, to an extent, I would say that while obviously it's unfortunate to the people who don't get nominated, who are like pretty big and have really good stuff, it is sort of as the initial formulators of that formula intended, to have some small, lesser known products get in there.
I mean, I'll say I'm happy to not be nominated if it means everything that got nominated was better than mine. That's how it should work. I just want to be clear. That doesn't mean I'm not salty about it. I just don't like the popularity side of it. I just feel like that makes it so that the best thing isn't winning, and I don't think that's the way it should work.
So you would like it if the first round was the whole thing, almost, if like the judges then voted among the nominees for the gold, silver, copper.
I don't even have a suggestion. I mean, I think as someone in the industry, I would like if, you could be just like the Academy Awards, you could be a member of the award that we're talking about. And then as a card carrying member, we all vote on what we think the best one is.
Actually, no, that's not how it works. So the way it works in the Academy Award, you have to be... Okay, so the only way you can become... Okay, so for actors, anyone in the Academy, anyone in the in SAG can vote for those. Okay, so those are actually very hard to do. So any of the acting categories, very tough. Any of the other categories, also Best Picture, anyone can vote for Best Picture. But for like
anybody in the Academy,
not just in the Academy. I think it's SAG as well. But to be in the Academy,
I'm saying it's not just Joe Schmo in the street.
Like, yeah, right. You have to be in SAG or in the Academy.
You didn't even watch the other ones.
Well, okay, so SAG is the Screen Actors Guild, and so to be in Screen Actors Guild, you need to do a certain amount. Like you have to be in a certain number of movies or some TV shows and so forth. To be in the Academy, there's only two ways to get into the Academy. You need to either win an Academy Award, or you need to have two people who have won an Academy Award nominate you. And that's it. Okay. That's the only way. So my brother was nominated for an Academy Award, but he was not in the Academy, even though he was nominated. But then two people nominated him. Actually, I know who it was. It was Sean... not Sean Young. from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Sean Penn and George Clooney nominated my brother, and then he got added to the Academy. So he's now a member of the Academy, even though he didn't win. So there's only like 100 people in his category, which is costume design. However, because they had, and I'm really going on a tangent, because of they were saying, you know, like it was too exclusive and it was all white people, white men, and that was it. So very recently, over basically the last 10 years, they've added hundreds, if not thousands, of new people to the Academy to, like, you know, make it more representative of the people in the industry, which has been, you know, a pretty good thing. So it was like so hard to get into the Academy that they had a very limited number of people. So now they've been opening it up. But the point is that the only people who vote on costume design are people who know about costume design. The only people who vote on science, special effects, no special effects. So you're not
that for the ennies. Oh, let's see that.
Yeah, well, right. You're not Joe Schmo. Like, I'm literally an actor who's been in like 2 things and has my SAG card, and now I'm voting on best special effects. It's like, no, you don't get to vote on that category.
Yeah, no, I don't want to vote like that. I mean, I just don't want, like, what's the point of having judges? I know what you're saying, Nick or Mark, but you're saying, what's the point of having judges nominate stuff? It just gets voted on by the general population. You should have a general, like a fan choice awards, where all of them are nominated by the general public, you know, and then you have one that's an industry. Like,
for us,
mixing the two just makes it makes it not mean as much. Like, oh, you didn't actually have best art. You had the best selling RPG that got nominated for best art. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we actually have ours for our monster for our monster contest, because we do 2 rounds, and the first round is general voting, and then the second round is people in the industry. So
so we do it in the reverse order.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason that if you're going to do a 2-round, the reason you can't do that for the ennies,
they do 2 rounds for the ennies.
No, but you can't do the 2 rounds in our order where the public does it first. And because there are so many products that are submitted to the ennies that you can't expect the public to read all of them and then be willing to pick out that one gem that nobody really had heard of, but that was awesome in that category. Because what they're going to do is look for the ones that they already like, that are in the, even if you gave everyone in the public who was going to be a public voter all of these for free, which I'm not like sure that even works, but even if you did, they'll look for the ones they already knew. They'll look for the ones that they had already heard of and were thinking of getting before, and then it'll go back to being a popularity contest in the first round. And then at least, though, you might feel that the judges were picking the one that they felt was absolutely the best in that category in the second round, but you have a logistical hurdle, plus then the really small ones just never even get nominated. Now, you could say keep it at just the first round, or do the second round with a second set of judges or something like that. And that is definitely another way to do it that would still, I think, keep with the goal of having the lesser known ones make it on there. That's for sure.
So, by the way, Agile Monk, we actually are talking about board games. Now we're talking about why the board games are like shut out of the ennies. So believe it or not, we're kind of like back and forth. So, but
shut out since the initial sweep.
Yeah, it's all based on the judges, which change. And it's really like down to if one judge really liked you that year.
I just want my final closing thoughts on our, like, if BORG can win like 4 plus another 2 or 3, Cyborg should have been nominated. You know, I'm not even talking about Pirate Borg. That's all I'm saying.
Although
I think that makes it be like we're missing something.
I will say I don't like the gloss pages for Cyborg.
The gloss pages are the same in Borg though.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean it's right. I can't read anything. It's very.
I'm just saying
it's hard enough to read. You have a much better. You do the same thing, Shadowdark. You have the matte. You have the old school matte, which is much easier to read. And because if you're gonna do this type of color, like I have gloss, but I have white pages usually. If you're gonna do gloss and you're gonna have red pages like this, you know, hard. I mean, look at that. It's hard to read.
Definitely hard to read.
It's hard to read. Yeah. And then they have like yellow.
Was mad at me on the Kickstarter comments. He was like, why do you use such cheap paper? Borg paper is way better. You should use, and I was like, bro, hold my beer. I was like, we pick our paper very seriously. I much prefer uncoated, and much people backed me up, but I was like, everyone's got their different preference on paper. So,
well,
you thought the uncoated was cheap, and I was like, I promise you, this paper is.
Yeah, that's like, especially now, like. Yeah,
like 115 gram GSM Munkin cream is not cheap. It's
my god, that's what you use. I use 80 GSM, but we use gold. Gold.
Oh, yeah, it's like a super quality paper. Like the fact that you think it's cheap. No offense, dude.
This is 115. Oh, that explains why. Yeah, this is very thick. This is very thick. Yeah. Well, also your book. I'm not putting you down, but when your book is smaller, you kind of want to beef it up a little with the paper.
Well, sure. I mean, whatever.
Well, you have to. Otherwise, it's like you can't have a book. You don't want it too big and you don't want it too small, like in a weird way. And in fact, Kelsey has said this, is that she has the regular version of Shadowdark, which is this, but then the special edition, she uses bigger and thicker paper, but it actually makes the book almost too big. Like,
I actually don't like the paper. I have the big one.
I do too.
I wish he had just done the same paper for both.
Yeah, I have, right. Because this is I have the two here. The special versus.
Yeah, I think it's too thick. It's like too hard to flip through.
It's actually, it actually is too thick. It's very hard to flip through.
Wait, is yours green?
No.
Oh, wow. I haven't even seen that one.
You know why?
Why?
She only gave about 20 of these in the world.
Oh, it's the special VIP.
It's the special VIP version.
I was gonna say, I love green, but I wish he had done that one in black. I'm like, the book's Shadowdark. It's black and white. Let's make the black cover black. That's my opinion.
It is Kelsey, black. Oh well, the back is black.
But that's not the special one.
Yeah. I don't even have the special one
because it was green.
I don't even have the special one. I got the super duper special one.
Super duper special. All right. Well, you guys want to talk more about BORG and whatnot?
Sure, we talk more about BORG. Well, we are talking about BORG. You're talking about.
That's true. We are.
The paper and.
Yeah, but you know what? Okay, for those of you who are like, oh, you guys, you know what? This is a big thing. Do you make a digest size or do you not make a digest size? Because digest size, like, these are all these things. Like, if you want to get into the weeds, this is things you got to think about. Like, do you make a digest size or not? Because these BORG books, if you want it to be part of the BORG universe, you have to make it look like the other books. So this is not an accident of the type of paper you use. Like, you were just defending Cyborg. It's like, well, use the same paper as Mörk BORG, so therefore it's the same, category and it's the same universe. I'm like, fair enough, but yours probably wouldn't work that way if you did it because it's not old school.
They use the high gloss paper for the color front half, and then they use an uncoated. I think it's Munkin Rough. There's the adventure in the back that's black and white. Two different papers in the same book.
Oh, that's really
good
BORG-y
stuff. Yeah.
But the point is that this is like, you want to get into the weeds. Like, this is what we have to do. Like, we have to. You have to, like, if like. Now we're talking, like, actually, I mean, you have a background in, like, advertising design. Like, this is what you do in advertising. Like, you have to, it's like, does it have the same feel? Does it go for the same audience? And, like, you have to decide, okay, what are the fonts you use? What are the size of the book you use? What type of paper do you use? Like, this is all actually a very important aspect, because if you put out this book and it was the size of our books, I bet you it wouldn't have been as popular. And it sounds, even if it had the same content, maybe I'm wrong, but people might not realize that, what is that? Is that a D&D book? Is that a 5e book? Is that a Pathfinder book? It's like, well, it's not digest size. It's like, you have to make a digest size because that's what BORG is. So, and now all BORG books.
I think also when you have less words to fit in there, that's actually a superior size for a book. Like, you're not going to sit, like, we've all read RPG books in bed. I've got a Warhammer Fantasies Lustria book in my right now. I hate that thing because it's so big. It's like, I can't read that comfortably in bed. So I actually think that A5 is a better size for role-playing games. That's just a problem. I mean, like, you can't make Kingmaker A5. It's going to be 5-point font, or it's going to be, 1,200 pages. Like,
Okay, you want to get really in the weeds? How about this? We have this book that we're going to have to turn into this book. We're actually really... Kelsey's book, into this book. And we have to take this many words and this much and put it in here. And she uses like a 10-point font.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? It actually worked. We got it in there. I'll tell you the secret, because her stat blocks are really short. So when your stat block is itty bitty teeny tiny, it's not so hard to get in there. So it actually, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it fit. I was like, wow, this actually is working out really well. So there's more words in these than.
Wait, so are you going to do black and white?
No. We are going to do kind of what you do. Like, actually, it's going to be a black and white frame, black and white text, but then the pictures of the monsters, because we already have them in color. And Kelsey thought it looked good. She liked it. She's like, oh, you could put color in Shadowdark, you know. I tried to even tint it, and I'm taking some of the monsters. I even tried to make them black and white, and I'm like, they look okay, but they're in color. Well, they look great in color.
Yeah, you need a certain kind of art style. I mean, that's why Dark Caribbean will work so well, because I've done, like, it's literally drawn black and white.
Well, right, and you draw yours like this, but
all that stuff. If you look at any of the monsters, like, you can see the black ink, which if you just turn off the color will work. But you have to plan that way.
Well, keep in mind, we do a little bit. Not that this is like it. So the whole page is black.
It's a no-brainer for
you do the whole page is black and white. But then you have the monsters color, and that's the only thing color on the page. Yeah, and it really pops too. It looks great. And actually, I was like, okay, this actually looks really good because it's the only thing that's color. Everything else is black and white. So
it's like when like you're in the Wizard of Oz and like only the slippers are red or something else like that.
Yeah. So it did work pretty well because we've been fooling around with the design. And I did try black and white, and I was like, we could do it. It looks fine. But also, I think the black and white is... So the reason why everything was black and white in the 70s is because it was cheap. And more importantly, not only cheap, it's like, that's all they can do. Because a book, if you adjust for inflation, a black and white D&D book with a full color cover was $50. Okay? Adjusted for inflation, so $50 to $60. Now those are black and white on crappy paper. That wasn't good paper to look like crap. That was crappy paper that was crap. Okay, it just was crappy paper, and that was still $50. Like, if you wanted to do a full color book, it would have been $100 at least. That's like an art, that back then we used to call those art books or coffee table books. Like, you just didn't get books in full color. It just didn't exist. And as we were talking about this as a print designer, it was interesting. So I taught print design in the history of print at Carnegie Mellon. There was basically four dynasties of print. And then within like the last 20 years, there was like three. So like in the first 500 years of print, there was basically four major advancements in print. It was like movable type and then so forth. And then because of computers, it just went, it went very fast. It exploded. And the big explosion was the advancement of computers and going to digital to print, that you can literally just send your digital files right to the printer, and you don't even have to make sheets anymore. And it's a big deal. So color is now very easy to print. And then you have things like Pirate Borg or Mörk or Cyborg, where you have old school color as opposed to old school black and white. Believe it or not, this does have to do with Borg. Because now, what's your opinion? Obviously, I prefer... I get the old school. I get it. I get the old school black and white, and it looks good when it's done well, but I much prefer your style. I much prefer the color.
I mean, I guess for me, it's like, what's your favorite cereal? Like, well, I mean, I have a favorite.
Honey Nut Cheerios. There you go.
I know, like, for example, this last week I was eating Count Chocula and like the spooky Captain Crunch, and like I like them both, but they're both different. It's like, I think that Shadowdark, if there was color in I'm not talking about your book, but if there was color in Shadowdark, it wouldn't be the same thing. Part of the charm of that book is that it's all black and white. Now, my brother, hates black and white. He doesn't like black and white RPGs. Every time I make something that's just black and white, like Buried in the Bahamas is all black and white. He hates it. Like that's just, it's, you know, different strokes for different folks. Pirate Borg, I would never make it black and white, but if I were making it for Shadowdark, it's got to be black and white, in my opinion.
Interesting. Well, I think also we literally got the approval of Kelsey. She's like, color's good. I was like, all right, as long as Kelsey says it's good.
Sure. And I think someone in the
that
chat
goes a long way.
if you don't start with it being black and white, you can't get there backward.
Yeah.
Like if you're hiring painters and not, you know, guys that are going to do like comic book style, you know, like for example, I've got a Spawn omnibus that's all just the ink, and it looks amazing because those comic books are drawn, penciled, and then inked and then colored.
Right.
So they look amazing in black and white. But if I took like Assassin's Creed art book from a few steps down that was painted digitally in Photoshop, it would just be grayscale, and that's not the same thing. So I think that's an important thing. If your art isn't originally black and white, then you don't even bother.
Yeah.
Someone in chat is wondering what's going on with the current Pirate Borg Kickstarter.
Oh, cool. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Nope, we're out of time.
See you guys.
I'm kidding.
Thanks for having me.
You got a little more time. But yeah, let's talk Pirate Borg.
Well, yeah, I mean, you want me to just give you the elevator pitch? Chat, let me know what do you want to know specifically?
Do the elevator pitch, because you have, even I was like, wow, you have a lot in here.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. I was like,
I'll give you the crash course, and I'll give a little bit of the history so that it makes sense. I'm working on a book called The Dark Caribbean. It's a setting book. It's already 300 pages or so. It was getting too big, and I want to finish it before Kickstarter. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to get this done this year. We need to do something new. So I took some of the adventures out of that and a few adventures that I had been working on that didn't make sense in that book, and made a new book called Down Among the Dead. It's three big adventures. It's Lost to the Locker, which is a post TPK romp around mist shrouded islands, Davy Jones's locker. It's really fun. It breaks all the rules because you're dead and time doesn't work the same. There's Into the Maelstrom, which is basically I6 Ravenloft on a pirate ship mixed with Shadow over Innsmouth. So you're about deep one vampire pirates on a giant pirate ship. Very fun Halloween adventure. I'll actually have the beta of that, or the alpha of that, ready in the next few days for my patrons, which is pretty exciting. So you can play it on Halloween. The third adventure is Venom in the Veins, which is a very Indiana Jones temple with, you know, kind of that more piratey Indiana Jones twist than a normal D&D adventure. Then we've also got a bunch of like house rules in this book. We've got a bunch of random tables, of course. And I think we're going to have 2, maybe 3, maybe even 4 player class options, player upgrade options. We hit all our stretch goals. So yeah, that's a hardcover book. It's probably 130 pages, maybe. Like I said, 6 Pantone color printing. It's going to be you like nerdy printing books, you're going to love this one. But in addition to that, I wanted to do a GM screen.
Oh, okay.
So the GM screen's a 5-panel GM screen, A5, so it's the same size as the book. It'll stand like this. We hit the stretch goal for that, so it's going to have a glow-in-the-dark ship on the front with a glow-in-the-dark spot ink. Very excited about that.
Wait, I want to ask you about this, because I actually heard someone gave me some crap, gave you some crap on that. I think it was Derek Melenda actually gave you crap on that.
In chat?
No, on the stream last week. So you have, or someone was giving, I forgot, maybe it might have even been Morris on Ian World. You have glow-in-the-dark stuff on your book.
Yes. I think it was Derek.
Oh, it was Derek? How do you play that if in the dark?
So none of the glow-in-the-dark things are related to content. They're just cool.
Oh, okay. Because it was like, how does that work?
I want it to be like, it'll be like that moment, like, oh, you see this glow-in-the-dark ship, and then the GM like has their little UV flashlight and turns off the light just to show how cool it is.
Got it.
It's not part of the gameplay loop. That being said, I do want to write an adventure, maybe for OSE or something, that is all blacklight. All the products are blacklight printed inks, and you play in the blacklight.
and you sell it at Spencer Goods.
Like, I want to do that. I'm gonna be the guy that does that. It's gonna happen. But you're right. No, it's like, it's one of those things where like, wait, is that glowing on my shelf? Yes, the book is glowing on my shelf. It has no practical use.
You do glow in the dark, and then when you turn the lights on, everyone dies. The game is over.
Yes, exactly.
Well,
I love glow in the dark stuff. I love glow sticks growing up. I was a raver in the 90s.
oh my God.
Like I love laser pointers. I'm a lighting designer. I want it to glow. It's only because it's only cool factor, you know? So,
Well,
So we had a super chat from Jacob from Avenue Studios who said, I'm so excited Quartermaster Tyler is going to be on our channel running Pirate Board tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
yes, that's my brother and quartermaster Tyler, amazing GM. He's been playing role-playing games much longer than I have. Or in total hours. I played a few times when I was younger than he, got started, but he's played all his whole life. So that'll be a great stream. Definitely watch that.
so I have Down Among the Dead, by the way. You gave me the preview, and I like you have a table in here. It just says Jolly Roger flag generator to come.
Yes. Well, so a couple of those tables were stretch goals. That one I've written but not laid out and illustrated yet.
Right.
Basically,
That's pretty cool, though. I was like, ooh,
you just
Jolly,
roll
that's
up.
fun.
Yeah. Do you guys want to roll one up?
Yeah. Now?
Because I
Okay.
have the-
Yay! I want to roll. I love
it.
rolling
What do
stuff.
I have to roll?
I have
We're
the
going to
draft
make a Jolly
written.
Roger.
Is
You
it
gotta
a
roll the Jolly
D100 or a
Roger.
D20?
No, no, come on. This is a pirate board table. It's way more than one roll.
Oh, God. He's
Well,
like,
I know, but I want to know what the first roll
Yeah,
I need
pick
to
up my
make
dice.
is.
The first roll is a D12. Here, we'll go through it
Okay.
twice. Mark, let's go.
The D12. Okay, I
Wait.
rolled a 3.
Okay.
Oh my God.
The shape of the Jolly Roger is a typical rectangle.
Okay,
Boo.
Okay, D20.
okay. I've got a typical rectangle with a 16.
The layout of this, the idea here is this is going to make a unique flag, not just a boring one, because you can do the boring one on your own, right? So the layout of your flag is 4 different secondary elements, one in each corner, right?
Okay.
So we're going to skip the primary element table, and you're going to roll on the secondary element table 4 times. So give me.
So there's
4
nothing in the middle. I just have things on each corner.
like
and
four corners. Like think of
Okay.
like a knight's flag. With the.
That's cool.
Will I be rolling for the overall color that's like in the center and
Yeah.
stuff? or-
Well, the overall color is assumed black, unless you.
Oh,
get
well,
to the-
because it's a Jolly
there's a table
Roger.
at the end for your quirk, which could change the color.
Okay. So
give
what am
me-
I rolling for?
Give me 4 D100 rolls, and we'll just assume it's like
Okay.
left, top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right.
I will roll 4D100 rolls.
Wow.
All right. So I got 8, 57, 39, and 95.
8. So the top left is blank. There's nothing there.
Boo.
Bottom the star on the top right is star or stars.
Cool.
What was your next number?
39,
Bottom left is a cannon,
Ooh.
and then 95.
and the bottom right is a Celtic knot.
Okay, so I've got nothing in the top left, then a star in the top right, a cannon, and a
Cannon
Celtic
and a Celtic
knot.
knot. Now you've rolled the 4 elements is a little bit of a weird one, but that's kind of cool. Like if you ever watch One Piece, you get some of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
real pirate flags. Some of them have their flags tell a story.
Yeah.
Okay, so that you got that overall look. Let's look at the twist D100, or excuse me, D20 for the twist.
Oh, I rolled a D100. Let me roll D20. Okay, 9.
No twist. Hey, roll again. Roll above,
I get
above
it.
a 10.
Okay, that's funny that 9 is also no twist since it's like
Well,
could be
like these
it
tables
could be
are
German
designed so
for
that they-
no. Is there a twist? 9. All right, so
Oh yeah.
4.
I'm just gonna give you a 14. in the
14.
interest of
Oh, but
time.
I rolled 4. But
Okay,
okay.
'Cause there's no
that's- No
twist.
twist. Then you get no twist.
You get no
Sorry.
twist.
Okay.
Boo.
What would 14 be?
14 would have been made of the skin of livestock, shark, or human. Your
Oh,
okay.
but you got no twist.
I get no
You got
twist,
no twist.
unfortunately.
choice. That's the potential for when it gets burned down, you can remake it, right?
Ooh.
Okay, and final roll is a D6 for your condition.
Oh, I didn't realize there was one more. I will roll it. 1.
Ripped, torn, frayed, and salt stained.
Maybe it was ripped in the top left, and that's why there's no element
There you go.
there.
It's missing that piece.
It's missing the entire thing.
I'm going to use
Love
my
that, yeah.
special. I just got these. These are, you can hear them. They're actually made out of stone. My stone
Oh,
dice.
I love that. Perfect. All right,
So-
D12.
D12. Where is my D12? Oh, the D12's a weird. It's a monster of a D12. 4.
Your typical rectangle. Do you want to re-roll?
Yeah, I'm re-rolling. I'm not getting anything marked on. 6.
Long like a banner, so it hangs this way.
Oh, vertical. Okay, that's
It's
weird.
Yeah.
vertical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now what?
Or wait, no, I'm sorry. No, that's a 7. Tall like a rectangle, long like a banner. So it flies longer than a normal pennant.
Okay, it's like a pennant.
No, pennant is an extra option. That's the triangle shape.
Oh, right. Well, that's like a
longer one.
No, I know which one. It's like the long, thin ones. Yeah.
Long, thin. Layout, D20.
D20. 14.
14. The secondary element is repeated 3 times.
Ooh.
So, for example, if we rolled skull and crossbones, it would be a skull over crossbones, making 3 X's.
Cool.
Makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, element 1. This is the big thing in the middle of the flag, D100.
D100. All right, I got to take out my 100 die. 37.
A skull with a cavalier hat, which is like the hat that Barbosa wears.
Oh, I love that.
Kind of like a musketeer.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, so you got a skull with a cavalier hat. All right, and then give me a D100 for your element 2. That's going to be repeated 3 times. Now, if it's hearts, it could be like in 3 parts of the flag, but maybe it'll make sense on the bottom.
I rolled a 7, 007, literally.
Okay, you have to re-roll that because that's no secondary element, which makes no sense.
Yeah, nothing repeated 3 times is just nothing.
68.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about doing a web app to make these flags. So that would work. You would just have the skull of the cavalier.
Yeah, 68.
68 is pentagram. So you've got a skull, the cavalier hat, and 3 pentagrams.
3 pentagrams.
Oh my god!
Now, I'll tell you, that's a different result than 70, which is a pentagram inverted.
Ooh,
true. It's not inverted, so it could be protective pentagrams.
Could be, yeah. Okay, let's keep on going here. Twist D20.
D20. 17.
Made from burlap or other found materials.
It's not human skin, but I'll take it.
It's not human skin. Also, you didn't roll 16, which is it's soaked in ash and glows in the dark. Ash is the
everything glows in the dark.
I had a flag that Derek would have made fun of you for.
Well, but not only that, I already know what Derek would say. Why does it glow in the dark? Aren't you a pirate? Is that the last thing you want them to see while you're like stalking them at night? That's like the worst thing to have.
You're showing the flag. You want them to see the flag. Yeah.
Not at night. Not when you're stalking them.
You don't fly the flag.
Well, you don't fly the flag if you're in
your
stealth.
colors.
Well, it's a pain in the neck. You fly the flag. They don't have to see it. You got to take it down every time.
Oh.
What a pain!
Yeah.
No, Luke's right. You just if you're in stealth.
Fun results.
What's that?
As I say, a couple other fun results from this table are a 20 is made from a pair of pants or an old dress.
Oh, I love that.
Also, we have red instead of black, meaning no quarter. That's what a red pirate flag means. And then always on fire but never burning. That's one I like.
Oh man. Okay, how about
condition this? Number D6, Steven, and then we can.
Oh, D6. There's another condition. I forgot.
Yeah, remember that's the one I also thought.
Yeah, also put away your dice. Put away my dice. 5.
Broken in.
Yeah.
It's broken in.
Broken in.
Other options were missing a piece, brand new, ripped in half from Breezone. Yeah.
How about this?
So
I might not need you because we're not doing maps really, and I have like a map guy. But if you want to help us come up with some D20, some tables,
let's go
for our Shadowdark Bestiary. I don't know. We're still figuring out the name.
Sure. Okay, so let me finish up with what's in the Kickstarter real quick because we're running out of time.
Oh yeah.
GM screen. We're doing hard edge resin dice purely because I want them to exist. They have the Dark Caribbean logos on them, and they have D2s, which are used a lot. And we're doing this barrel type of D4s. That's like a D. It's like a cube with 2 pyramids on the end.
Yeah.
Then we're also doing that jam I talked about earlier, Cabin Fever. The jam went so well that we're printing all the winners into a book, and that's going to be like 180 pages hardcover book, Cabin Fever book. And then at Gen Con this year, I got really excited when I saw the Arkham Horror role-playing box set because there's so much cool stuff in it for so cheap that I was like, I bet we can do that. So we decided to make a box set it's a starter kit. So basically it comes with a new adventure and a bunch of maps and a treasure map and ships and tokens for that adventure. And then basically Pirate BORG with all the GM's spoiler stuff removed in a pamphlet or in a zine sized booklet that's called the Player's Guidebook. And then we hit the stretch goal for that thing to also be a hardcover. So you could get the box set with all that in a zine version of the Player's Guidebook, or you could buy a $20 Player's
We got to
Guidebook.
talk because I want to find out who your printer is for that. So.
Oh yeah, I mean all that. Yeah, we'll talk. Yeah,
we'll talk. No,
We're using
because I actually like I mean, I'm still figuring this out, and I even talked to you about it, Mark. But I think for ours, when we do Shadowdark, I think not only do we have to do the monster, but I think I might want to do a box and then put the tokens in there, because Shadowdark is played very much in person, and also if you do it, it's like a lot of people have asked us for monster tokens. Selling monster tokens as on their own, I don't know how well they really do, because like I'm really more interested in the book. But if you do digest size, and then you put it into a box set, and you do kind of what you're doing, it's not so bad.
What we're doing.
Yeah, it's not
the reason
so
we
bad.
started doing this is because naval combat is hard to do on the cheap. You have to, buy a war game miniatures and paint them. And I was like, no, man, I make these battle maps and I make tokens for people to use in VTT of the ships. Like, let's just print all those. So in addition to the starter set ones, there's a pack you can buy for like $15. That's basically every ship in the game on a cardboard punch out. And we're doing neoprene water mats. So you can, for like $15, you can do all the naval combat you need for the whole campaign, as long as you're okay with punch out cardboard and not a 3D model,
Right. Well, punch out cardboard, the problem is like, we did the book and then they're like, oh, we just want cardboard. I'm like, well, like that's how other people sell it. I was like, dude, that's like, it's gonna be like $60 just for that. Like it's like it'll cost more than the book. And I don't know how many people, I think the people who play D&D and Pathfinder are way more virtual at this point. Not that they don't play in person, but I know my audience is extremely virtual. But the BORG audience and Shadowdark and stuff, that's very personal still. That's played a lot of conventions.
Has a very big convention presence.
It's very big at conventions.
Patreon, there's a very big VTT presence. So we feed both, And I
always feed both.
I don't want people to have one gameplay loop on VTT and then not be able to have that loop. So we like to, when we can, print the battle maps and do the tokens. That's what we're doing that's what this Kickstarter is all about, really.
Right. Well, battle maps
book and tokens
aren't so bad, but tokens can get very expensive.
I don't know. I mean, ours are not that. I mean, we're able to do like 5 sheets of A5, which double-sided. So like the ship, it'll be like a ghost ship on one side and a pirate ship on the other. Do as many duplicates as we can fit on 5 sheets. I think it's 5 sheets and a A3 battle map. Like the naval combat one will have a little water mat.
Oh, well, see, that's a good idea if you reverse it on the other side, because what a lot of people do is they just have the same monster. They have it it used to be back in the 4E days. I don't know if you remember this. I have mountains of punch outs because I was still playing in person back then.
Are you like talking about the standees? Like these aren't standees, these are like pogs.
No, they're pogs, and one side would be the monster and the other side would be the monster bloodied. Because it was 4E.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it was 4E, and that was very common. And people still kind of do that.
Like for us, we're doing like for the creatures, the creature pack has all the monsters from Pirate Borg, but like one side will be zombies and the other side will be skeletons.
Yeah, so that's actually a good idea.
Like only one skeleton, you can get like 5 skeletons, regular skeletons.
Well, we're gonna have like 500 monsters, so I got to figure out how to do this. So.
Yeah, you got. I mean, but like, so 5 sheets, the MSRP is like $15. Like they're
it's not so bad. That's not so bad. That's what I said. I want to find out.
Affordable.
Look, there's only 3 printers. I know you're probably using one of the 3. So, although you're using Europe, so. If you're using Europe,
Europe is just for Lithuania, is just for the books.
Okay. Then you're using China. Then there's only 3.
We're using China for.
There's only 3 printers. And
the game manufacturing stuff, just because they can do it all in one thing and then put it in a box and send it to us.
Oh yeah, well that's I did a whole thing about this on Monday's call. Like why does everyone use China? And I'm like, because they can do it all, and they can do it all fast, quick, easy, and fairly cheap.
With the first Kickstarter with Pirate Borg, I was like, oh, I don't know, China. Like I was worried about slave labor and whatnot and all that stuff. But
not at Shenzhen.
Well, yeah, and I'd say until we all quit using iPhones, we're all hypocrites to say that we're not going to buy everything. Everything we get on Amazon is made there.
Everything is made. Well, Shenzhen, 70% of everything in the world's made there. So if you're going to throw out 70% of your house, then there you go. Like you have to throw out literally 70% of what's in your
I do
house.
think I need to do my due diligence as a moral human to make sure that they're, it is morally made, but whatever.
Yeah, but you know what? I talked
outside the scope of this conversation, probably.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I did talk to the people in China, and they're pretty cool. I mean, they're very nice, and that city is a real city. I mean, I think it also depends what industry you're in. I think printing is still like you can't quote. Now you said like slave labor. You can't slave labor printing. Okay, it's like printing is still printing. It's actually a fairly. It's very skilled.
Well, and that was another thing too. We met our reps at Gen Con, and they were very, very nice and very informative.
Oh yeah, I've met those people a million times. Yeah, it's very different. Like if you're doing wigs, which actually wigs are one of the worst things to buy. Like the practice of wig making is atrocious. So like that, no, don't buy wigs. Like from overseas, like this, it's like that's something you don't want to do. But again, it depends. If you're buying books, even if they're made in China, I think you're okay. They're all made with the same paper, same printers, same presses. There's only a few in the whole world.
I'm sorry. Sure.
Wait, what was that?
It's interesting. I just had to send a quick email to my next thing because I have an interview coming up.
Oh, okay.
And I happen to see, I don't know if we talked about this on stream or not, but I have received Projects We Love as of this stream.
You see?
Wait, seriously?
Did you send the email? Did you do what I told you to do?
I didn't know. I didn't send the thing. I just 17 minutes ago. Congratulations, we've selected.
Wait, that's very suspicious though, because it usually doesn't come at this stage.
Yeah, it does.
Did we talk about that? We didn't talk about that on stream though, right?
No, I don't think we did.
Wait, no, you're right.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no way that it could have.
Wait. We did talk about it on stream. We did. People, did we talk about it on stream?
No, I think you're right. It was the pre-show.
No, because I was asking.
What a coincidence!
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm glad that came in. I don't usually check my email when I'm on stream, but I had to because of this thing. I'm glad that I saw that headline here.
Congrats.
I think it's Roll for Combat's chi is rubbing off on Pirate BORG.
I told you we've got it forever. We get it. We yeah. Also, I think I don't know. I bugged the crap out of them, so they're like, "Stop bugging us." I'm like, in Shawshank Redemption, it's like, "All right, 2 letters a week." It's like, "Stop writing us letters. We'll give you all the books."
In college, there wasn't a Chipotle in Boston. And I remember I wrote them an email and I was like, have you guys seen Shawshank Redemption? I'm going to do that to you guys until you make a Chipotle here in Boston. And the guy, one of the service guys, like wrote me back. He's like, actually, that was handwritten. It was twice a week. So, but also we're working on it. So.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, right. It was like, that was it. It was like he wrote once a week and he got some stuff. And he was like, I'm going to write 2 letters a week.
Twice a week.
And then he got like a whole library. Movie. It's like, stop writing us. It's the same
what a great movie. But I was just, we're doing the giveaway? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do the giveaway. So everyone who's still here, this is how it works. In the live stream, you have to say what you're most excited about for Pirate BORG. Pirate BORG! And then I will give you a free mimic as long as I randomly will select someone, and then as long as you can get Mel, you will get a free mimic. And you can.
It is a quote Pirate BORG mimic.
It's a Pirate BORG mimic. Only the one you get.
Claimed it with Luke's blessing.
Only the one you get.
Only this one,
dude.
It's because you made a comment about Pirate BORG to win it. That's
Mark,
why it's a Pirate BORG.
It's a mimic. It can be whatever you want it to be.
It can turn into that same Jolly Roger that Steven had with the 3 pentagrams and the Cavalier hat.
Dude, we should totally do a thing we should totally do a live stream thing where people can roll their flag and then I'll make it for them.
That would be an awesome live stream.
I think you're going to be coming on. I was going to tell you offline, there's certain people who can get on the stream and just like roll with us because we don't shut up, and you fit in.
I can roll.
Oh, you can roll. You definitely can roll. I'm like, you're going to be on the stream. You're going to be our Derek number 2. I think you're going to be coming on the stream a lot.
Not to interject here, but I was on Between Two Karens. You guys know those guys? Yes. Kai and Brad.
Yeah.
Great my favorite podcast. And like when we got done, they were like, oh, man, good. We like never know what to expect. So people come on and we like have to just ask them dry questions for an hour. And like I was like, pop, listen to that show like every day. So it was
right. We need people who can talk and won't shut up. Yeah. And I'm like, we didn't even we barely got to main topic. So good. We're gonna have Derek on too.
Was like, stop talking, get to main topic. Yeah.
Well, we'll have you on, we'll have Derek on, and we'll have Stephanie on, and then Mark.
Oh man, that'd be an exciting episode.
I know. And then Mark and I will sit back. I won't have to do anything actually.
People in chat sound really excited about the flag idea.
Well, I just saw it because I thought it was a good idea. And then you're like, okay, let's do it. We could do some of the, I didn't even.
Well, you know how it is, man, when I just got done writing it, like,
Oh, okay. And you want to try it out.
Finished writing the draft.
Yeah, you want to try it
we
out.
hit the stretch goal, and I was like, so it's fun for me to see it get used.
Yeah. Well, half of it is also, I wanted to talk to you about, are you making the old inaccurate map of the locker of Davy Jones? Is that going to be glow in the dark? Because that looks glow in the dark, my friend.
It does look glow in the dark. It's not currently. Maybe that should be another stretch goal. We'll see what this Project We Love takes us up to.
That would be a good glow in the dark map. I think you'd have to get rid of some of the holes. There's a little too many holes.
Here's the thing. There was a little discussion. This is a little like inside spoilery things.
Yeah.
See how it says it's an inaccurate map?
Yeah, I saw that.
That map is in the book. But I say in the beginning of the adventure, this map is not a map. It's more of a checklist for your players to know what locations are there.
Oh, good idea.
There is a procedural method for navigating the locker. It's optional. You could just use, if in a one shot, you can just use that map. But my design intent is like, you have to figure out where the things are and realize the map is wrong and remap it yourself and draw it yourself. So I think doing it as a printed thing is going to be like, everyone's going to want to use that. So that's why we're not doing that.
That makes sense.
I'm looking at all your, actually, that was the other reason I wanted to have your stuff for free.
People in chat want to make sure you're going to pay for shipping for the Mimic, Steven, which I know that you are. But
yeah, no, it's like you just send me your address and I send it to the warehouse and they send you a Mimic.
Yeah, that's what we do whenever we do giveaways. It's so easy when you have a warehouse.
Yeah, it's going to be very
having
easy.
to ship yourself is the worst.
Well, guess who's been shipping all those books himself? Me.
Yeah. Can I give a shout out to my boy Dave?
No. Yes. Everyone always says that. I'm like, I always want to be that person. No, you can't. Sorry.
Well, but you kind of already have.
I know. It's like, can I do a shout out to my boy Dave who does blah 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 blah?
He's in chat. Dave Rosser. He is like one of my favorite people on the planet. He's a big proponent of Pirate Borg. Hi, Dave. Thank you for all you do. I will hopefully see you at Gamehole Con. Yeah.
Oh, you going to Gamehole Con? Everyone talks about Gamehole Con. I guess
dude, you got to do Gamehole Con. It's
really?
It's like the new school Gary Con. And like,
I'm kind of conned out. I went to a lot of cons this summer.
Yeah, I mean, people go there to play. A lot of playing happens at Gary Con. The hall gets a little slow, but like it's a homie hang.
Yeah.
A lot of industry people there. Last year, I gave Chris Perkins a copy of Pirate Borg.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Chris in a long time. I do like you have the main deck, the quarter deck, the poop deck. What is a poop deck? I hear it all the time.
Okay, so I actually at this moment forget the origin of the word, but if you're looking at an old school pirate ship like a galleon, it's the very top back deck.
Because I know there's a fore castle, the aft castle. I know all that.
Yeah, the poop deck is on top of the aft castle.
Oh, okay.
It's the stern deck.
I think it's come from a French word. I can't.
I guarantee.
I feel like a bad pirate guy for not knowing the origin at the moment. But
the coffin chamber. Ooh, look at that. Laboratory. You got some
well, you're looking at Into the Maelstrom, aren't you?
Yeah.
No,
down among the dead.
Like the word for
Into the Maelstrom
in Latin.
Into the Maelstrom is the
the Maelstrom
inside Down Among the Dead.
It's
very much Ravenloft on a boat. Like
I'm looking at this thing. Yeah, I'm looking at this. Wow, this is my jam because my favorite World of Warcraft, my favorite dungeons and MMOs are the ones where you go on ships. Because
people in chat pointed out like poop is literally just stern in French.
Got
it. That's what I thought it was. I knew it was French, and I remember when I first stared making Pirate RPG stuff, I wanted to change that because I didn't want there to be like.
They're asking you if you're going to Page. Are you going to Page, Luke?
What's Page?
You don't know what Page is? Where do you live?
Denver.
Oh, that might be a bit of a journey. Page is. Well, look it up. It's the Philadelphia Area Gaming Convention or something. Professor Dungeon Master and I went to Page, the very first one. It's in Philly. It's the first week of January or second week of January. It's actually in Allentown. It's right outside Philly. Everyone, and I mean everyone, is going to Page. I don't know how
I've never even heard of this.
Like, wait till you see the guest list. Like, Professor Dungeon Master... I went to it with Professor Dungeon Master, and we hung out a lot. It's funny, the first thing he sent to me, because he got there a day before I did, and there was like, it's only 1,000 people, the whole convention, and he wrote me, And I said, how is it? He goes, I think I'm going to get a lot of writing done. I was like, oh no, that's not good. But then we actually had a great time because it was so small. We actually had a lot of fun because we got to do a lot of things, and it was a good time. He's got Bob World Builder's going to be there. Ben Milton's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Runehammer's going to be there.
Well, I didn't get the invite, so
You'll get. You know, just ask. Look who's there. Everyone's there. It's like
I don't like to be. I like to be asked.
oh,
all right?
fine. I'll ask Professor to ask.
be asked.
We'll get you asked. We'll have you asked.
Also, I feel like this is the year of me being like, oh, Pirate Borg is not just a one-off fluke. It's like, wait a second. So,
yeah, everyone. Greg Gillespie was there. Everyone's there, man. Everyone's
Listen,
there.
if you host a convention and you want to make somebody very happy with your VIP invite, I'm your guy. I will love being a VIP.
No. I'm not even. I was just like one of the leftovers. I was like, that's fine. I don't need
But you're
to.
still on the list.
I'm still on the list. Yes, I'm still on the list. Like,
yes. Grovel's right. I need to be courted. All right.
Oh.
I'm a pirate lord. I need a red carpet. It should have some holes in it. I need a goblet handed to me.
well, I'll ask him. Let's see. Let's pick a winner. Boom, John Stevenson. You even sound like a pirate. He's interested in ship combat. John, are you here?
Are you still here,
Are
John
you still here,
Stevenson?
John Stevenson? That is a pirate
Yeah.
name, if I ever
John
heard one.
Stevenson. That's very like.
Well, I mean, given that
John, there he is!
Robert Louis Stevenson popularized like the Long John Silver look, which everyone just thinks all pirates are nowadays.
Yeah.
Hello there.
I've
Hello,
often
me
thought about
matey.
if I could time travel, how much I would not go visit pirates because I don't want my illusion like destroyed.
Oh, dude, real pirates are so they were all private. I don't know. I've read the history of pirates. They were all basically everyone was a pirate. They were all pirateers. It was basically just a quote legal way to do combat between countries. You know, it was
I mean, if you
that's
get into
all it
Blackbeard,
was.
it does get Nassau pirates are a little bit more cutthroat.
Yeah, right.
But even
right.
then, I don't think it would be nearly. I think if I could visit Nassau in 715, I'd be pretty sad about what I saw. Maybe not, but
I still, if I could do anything, it would go not Greek times, but Roman times. But I mean, like height of Roman times, like height
sure.
of Roman Empire times, when
do
things
wanna
actually were
comment-
pretty good.
Nick here in chat is saying that he thinks Pirate Borg has arguably surpassed Mörk Borg in popularity. I don't think that's true. I will say
It will.
I have a small team of people and we are at every US convention and run tons of events. So if you go to conventions, it might feel that way. I don't think that has anything to do with actual popularity. Who knows though? I think Mörk Borg is very much a very big deal still.
Where are you at?
Hard to know. It's hard to know how strong your online popularity is unless you get nominated against each other in the ennies, and then you can tell. That is one thing that they do to roll back around to that.
Wait, were you at Alliance? Were you at the Alliance convention?
No.
You go to Gamma though. You're at Gamma.
Well, I did not last year. I had another thing, but I think we're gonna get a booth this year.
We got a booth at
because
Gamma.
now after this, especially with this Kickstarter with the starter set, we have a lot to offer direct to retail.
Yeah.
So
No,
we
we have a booth at Gamma this year. We'll be at Gamma.
Yeah. Black Sales is great too. That's another often pitch.
So John Stevenson, just send me your address. Make sure you have to like and subscribe. Obviously you subscribe because that's the only way you can chat. Try to like it, I can tell. And just send me your address and phone number. I need your phone number for shipping. To contact@rollforcombat.com. That is a new thing, actually. You need a phone number. I don't know why, but it's like,
yeah,
it's sort of it's just actually very recent. It's a new thing. You need phone numbers. Not always, but international, you always need a phone number. And domestic, it's good to have. So I always now ask for phone numbers. People are like, I don't want to give my phone number. I'm like, well, then you won't get your shipment. So don't worry, I'm not going to use it. I don't care about your phone number.
I won't say who, but I do have a few slightly famous people's phone numbers from this exact thing, where they're like, wait a second, that person bought the game. Oh my god, their phone number's in here.
Oh really? Well, yeah. I don't know.
I won't say who, but it's still kind of cool. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of over that sort of stuff. I did the website for the Sun Valley Conference for a long time. So the Sun Valley Conference is it's actually pretty disgusting if people don't know what it is. It's literally take the 400 richest, most powerful people in the entire world,
Oh wow.
and like literally, like Oprah, Bill Gates, Elon, like all of them. Okay, they're all flown to a location for 1 week where they just hang out and meet each other and just do deals. That's all it is. It's in Sun Valley. You can look it up. It's pretty famous. I did the website for the registration for them, and
yeah,
this
so you got the
this had not only them, it had their kids and their wives, and this is how rich they were, is that almost every single person there came on their private jet. So we would have to capture not just their information, but then their kids' information. And the amount of security that we had to go through the test, and we would go through these firms, was ridiculous because it had such sensitive information on it. So we had all their info.
wow.
But anyhow, working in web, I see that all the time. And A, I ignore it because it's part of my job. And B, it's pretty common after a while.
So I mean, I don't like store those numbers or anything. I just, sometimes you get somebody or even just somebody in the industry.
Oh, look what Derek wrote. Glow in the dark flag. Tisk, tisk, tisk. He agreed. You see, I channeled my inner Derek. I knew he would be like, that's the stupidest thing ever. Why would you have a glow in the dark pirate flag?
Because you only fly it when you're attacking. You want them that way they'll know in the dark you're flying the black.
But why would you?
I'm 100% on Luke's side because you
only raise the
flag when you're in stealth mode.
Yeah, you don't.
The flag is for intimidation.
But you can't see it at night.
In the dark is perfect.
But you can see it at night if it glows in the dark. So the point is you're trying to intimidate them.
Our $1 million stretch goal is going to be a glow in the dark flag. It's going to say Derek Smells on it. That's what it's going to be.
Derek Smells. Yay! I'm gonna put some money towards it just to have that. Everyone
Derek was talking shit about me the other day.
Oh, Knights of Last Call. We're gonna get the Knights of Last Call people. You just made a whole bunch of money from Knights. If we can get them on there, I hate to say it. I don't hate to say it. Let's see. According to my calculations, I can tell you how much you're gonna make because I have a very accurate.
Steven, can I ask real quick? How much longer are we going to go? Because I'm pushing my other thing and I don't want to be rude.
We'll go 2 minutes.
Oh, okay. No, then we're fine. If it was going to be another hour, I need to.
No. We'll go like we we're having so much fun. Let's see. According to this, you are trending to 1,049,000.
That's what I saw. I don't believe it, but
I don't believe it either because that is using your. But that is probably close. You could get 900,000. I think pretty easily.
We'll see. I feel like if we get to 900, I'm just gonna take a loan out and borrow against part of my own money, buy my own book 1 million times.
And by the way, you see what Derek wrote? Every single one of his patrons will buy that flag.
I was going to say that as a closing statement, that his patrons like to buy things that say that Derek smells or things like that you came up with. And with that, we probably need to let Luke go.
Wait, no, Luke, you should have a table. Actually, do a lower level stretch goal to get the knights in there. Something about there's some pirate in your world that's infamous for his atrocious smell, bad body odor, and general hygiene. Derek the pirate of some sort, and have some tables in there for having stinky, gross, disgusting traits.
Let's make a $100,000 pledge, and they can all combine their money together. And
there you go.
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
Or
go
Derek
that
the pirate is just in the back of a room muttering something about glow in the dark flag.
But we are. That's the thing. You're like, I'm not serious. I'm like, you haven't been on the show enough. We're dead serious.
Oh my god.
You gotta let him go.
I know, but no, we have got to do that, and then you have in-world lore. I put people in my games all the time, man.
Oh, yeah, sure.
He has another show, Steven.
All right.
I should go. If that's okay.
Yes.
So until next time, everyone, if you want to battle the zoo and get off of the call with Steven, you have to roll for combat.
Look, I got a glow-in-the-dark sticker from Piracy.
Bye, everybody.
Sticker.
Yay!
See, now stickers, those can work great glow in the dark. You can put on your water bottle.